Today on Homeworthy, we're bringing you an exclusive New York City Door Knocks marathon with none other than one of our favorite hosts, renowned interior designer Alex Papachristidis. Join Alex as he takes us inside the homes of his dearest friends, visionaries, tastemakers, and industry leaders, who also happen to be some of New York's most stylish and influential figures. First, we step into the fabulous Upper East Side apartment of celebrated ceramicist and potter Christopher Spitzmiller. Then Alex introduces us to David Monn, a world-class event planner and interior designer, with whom he shares a 20-year friendship rooted in a love for design and dogs. Next, we visit the stunning Hamptons home of Kate Brodsky, the brilliant curator behind one of New York's favorite shops, KRB. Kate's impeccable eye for style shines through every detail of her home. And finally, we enter the exquisite New York City townhouse of the legendary Miles Redd. As an avid collector and master of layered interiors, Miles has created a space that is nothing short of a visual masterpiece. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Alex Papachristidis, and we're on the Upper East Side. I am so excited today to be hosting my first episode of Homeworthy. We are going into the apartment of my dear friends Christopher Spitzmiller and Anthony Bellomo. Chris is an amazing ceramicist and makes the most divine lamps, beautiful objects and dishes. And Anthony is a landscape architect who has the most beautiful store in Millbrook, L'Orangerie. And I'm so happy to bring you into their house to see just the magic of what they've created at home. So come on, let's go see them.
Oh.
You're a little, boy, are you on top of that door, honey? Okay, let's try that again. Jesus, talk about an egg waiting to hatch.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Hi, Chris.
Come on in. It's good to see you.
So nice to be here. Oh.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Good, honey.
Come
How
on
are you?
in.
So good to see you.
Oh, give me a kiss.
Hi. Hi. How are you?
Come on, Fanny.
Hi,
Come on.
Fanny. Hi, darling. How are you, sweetheart? Hi.
Let me take your coat.
Thank you so much. So nice to be here always.
Come on in. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you. Thank you. Such a pleasure to come.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I'm Christopher Spitzmiller, and I'm a potter and a gardener and an author.
I'm Alex Papachristidis, and I am a decorator and a diehard New Yorker. I love New York no matter what, through thick and thin and good times and bad times. And I love being here, and I love living here, and I love supporting the city, and I love my friends who still live here.
I've been in business for 26 years, and part of that time was in Washington, D.C., but I've been in New York since 1999, and I think we've been friends for about 18 or 19 of those years.
Well,
But you were a client before you were a friend. You were a
Okay.
client from the very beginning.
And I am such a fan of everything that Chris does. I love all his things, and they're on all my projects. They're in my own apartment. So you guys have been to my apartment, and my apartment, I have 3 pairs of Chris Spitzmiller lamps in my apartment, and I don't have that many lamps. So and I still have a lot of antique and vintage lamps too, but I love the way your lamps work in rooms. I love that feeling of ceramicness, and I love that they're just sort of a little bit clean, but very classic.
Well, they're going to go on for generations. Like, I have the same apartment. These lamps in this apartment are the same ones that came over when I did it, and I could bring different lamps here, but I'm happy with them,
Yeah.
and I think somebody else will be happy with them one day when I'm no longer happy with them, which is probably going to be after I'm no longer, or no longer here anyway.
I'm definitely not going to sell my lamps. I mean,
they do well at auction.
I've
they
seen them
do
at auction.
very well at auction.
I've seen them at auction.
They do very well.
I've
there.
seen them at auction. I've bid on them at auction. I bought them at auction. And my favorite is when you go to sort of like a vintage store and they don't know what they have. I mean, that happens with everything. It's
rare.
Less and less common
It's rare
nowadays. It's less and less common. But every once in a while you can get lucky and find things in vintage stores that nobody knows what it is.
So this is Fanny. Fanny is the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. We have one of Fanny's ancestors on the wall there.
Wasn't that Mario's?
That was Mario's.
Right.
That was in his living room. I have a whole wall of them up in Millbrook. And I like to say, because my ancestors are on one side of the wall and Fanny's are on the others, clearly Fanny comes from a far grander line of people than I come from.
So that was another way we became friends, right? Mario also brought us together because we were both friends with Mario, which is so interesting. And we both loved Mario, and he was an old prickle puss, but he was kind of fabulous. And
do you remember when we went to see him in the rehab, and we were going through that box of his, and inside of this box comes a Smucker's jar of jam that God only knows how long the
and
jam
it was open,
open
right?
for.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and we're throwing away the jam, and Mario was not having us throw away the jam. He's like, no, there's a lot of sugar in there. That stuff keeps forever. Put it in the box. And we put it in the box and put it in the closet because like you could only tell that man so much, and then you had to back off, you know.
Well, look, I mean, think of what he amassed and how much stuff he
we had it going on here the other day. So
God.
I'm a chair addict. I buy all these chairs.
I have the same problem.
And one of these chairs was put on top of the other one. And Anthony came in here and he goes, "You remember what Mario's apartment looked like?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "It begins with a chair turned over, just like that. That is the beginning of hoarding and the beginning of your demise." Notice how, well, I couldn't have it that way for today anyway, but we got that other chair out there.
I mean, I honestly, I think I find your apartment much more disciplined than my apartment. My apartment, the tabletops are covered and jam-packed. So I think you're doing a very good job, and I think you're very disciplined. And this, by the way, is Cooper, who I think you've met before. And Cooper and Fanny are friends.
Yes. So I found this apartment in the old days when the New York Times was the gold standard for finding apartments. You got the New York Times on Sunday, and you circled and you went around and looked at things. And this one is two townhouses that are joined together, and I love being on the ground floor of it. And it had a wood-burning fireplace, and it had a little outdoor space, and I'm like in heaven.
So, Chris, I love the way you've used this divine kind of tealy blue in this entrance hall, because again, it's a little dark and it brightens up and cheers
It's
up
a
the
little
space.
more modern. You know, there's
Yeah.
a lot of white painted furniture in here. The blue is sort of an ethereal bluey green that you could see in some old English country houses. I was sort of inspired by the Tiffany box color, but it's a little
But it's
softer.
a chicer color.
It's softer.
I like
than
it
that.
better. Yeah, it's not so turquoise.
Yeah,
It's
they
got
call it maritime blue, though, which is a weird name. I would not think this to be maritime blue.
I love it. I love it. And of course, you know, this is what we were sort of talking about before. I love this little gourd, and I bid on this.
I guess you did.
Right? But you got it.
I got it. I got it. So Albert Hadley had a big brown one that he was given by a friend in New Jersey, and he didn't like the brown, so he had it gilt. And I'm guessing that this one, which came from Renee Meyer's estate, was made by the same artist, but it inspired me to make the ones that I make and to go on from there.
And I love them. I use them everywhere. I love them. They're so chic. And again, and tell us that this. I love
That's
this
a
lamp.
lamp that we make that was based on one of the ones that Sister Parrish had.
So it's based on an antique lamp.
Based on an antique
So
lamp.
pretty. I love that. I've never bought that shape, but I love it. And this guy?
He's a white bear. In Millbrook, I have a big Bavarian one that Albert had in his bedroom in Nashville. And this was a smaller one that I got my hands on before.
But it wasn't painted white like this?
It wasn't.
No, they
it
were
was brown.
They're Black Forest, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way you painted them white. It makes them so much fresher. And I don't know, they look more modern. I love it. Love it. Love it in white.
Just recently, we repainted all the white trim around the apartment. I think that's the second time I've had to do that. And I've done little bits of chain chop. I've thought about painting the walls a different color, and
I love them. Oh, I'm
always
so glad you've
glad
done
that I
So
didn't
pretty.
do it then later.
It's such a unique, fabulous color. It really is. It's so beautiful.
So it's based off of an egg yolk color, that rich farm egg yolk color.
like an organic egg.
Again, you know, and it's all from the Nancy Lancaster
Yes.
butter yellow school of thought.
But it has a little more orange in it than butter yellow.
Yeah,
in
there's a
person.
lot of orange in it.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's like an egg in Europe. When you eat an egg in Europe, it's got that orangey yellow color to it.
It is a custom color. It was made for me here, and sadly, there's not an equivalent that I can give out. I'm very free in giving out paint colors and fabric, and would be happy to share this one, but there's not an equivalent.
You know, you have your farm fresh eggs. Are those eggs? When I don't remember, are the yolks orange? Or
They're this color.
Yeah, they are this color.
If they've been eating the right thing, they're this color.
Yeah, okay, so that's a good way to look at it. Sort of an organic farm fresh egg. The yolk is this color. So I love this room, and I've been here many times for dinner, and I think it's so divine. But again, I feel like this room has been here forever, and that's what I find so stylish about it. How did you accomplish that?
Well, I went for that egg yolk yellow color that I have on the walls here, and it was hand glazed and painted the floors black. That was something that Albert told me to do. And I've been through lots of rugs. I had an oriental rug in here in the beginning that was threadbare that I got rid of. Had several sisals. The sisals that I have now are indoor-outdoor synthetic plastic
this is genius.
ones. This is great. Kathy Kincaid got me to do these.
Don't chew on that.
It's fine. It's a dog-friendly house. You can see by Fanny
Yeah,
here.
no,
We want dogs to be very comfortable in this house.
And I love the way you use this mirror on the back wall to sort of open up the room.
Yeah, that I borrowed from William Hodges, who was one of my first clients. He had one of those mirrors in his office townhouse that he used to live in. It just makes it look a lot bigger, and the squares sort of break it up so you don't have one big thing. And then the painting over, it's actually a collage. Albert did that collage when he was in Naples, and I think he got some National Geographic magazines and sort of made the things different sizes and stuff.
So divine and
the
so
thing
charming.
about this apartment, I've got so many old things in here that's one of my modern things. I mean, it doesn't scream being modern, but I'm like, okay.
Well, your lamps are modern, but they look timeless.
Yeah,
it's the same. And the coffee table. The coffee table's fun.
Yeah, Keith Langham did the coffee table.
Yeah, I love those coffee tables. And I have a turtle like that, but yours is a little different.
Yeah, that one was one of Mario's. It came later. Oh, but it's very similar to I have one of yours too, crawling out from the coffee table.
So, Chris, I love these Colfax chairs. Tell us
those
about
were a
those.
late night auction find. I found them in an auction house in Connecticut, and the Colfax makes these. They're called the Friar chairs. It's literally, I think, the most comfortable chair you can sit in because it spoons your back and it's a good
I love
height.
them too.
And I thought David Easton made similar versions, and there are upholsterers in New York that do similar versions. I thought that these were knockoff ones. I paid, I think, approximately $250 for them. And then when I got them, I did this little turnover thing. And what does it say right there?
Colfax and Fowler,
Colfax and Fowler.
Isn't that
Had
great?
this upholstery on it, the bullion fringe, the whole,
So
the
pretty.
whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I bought them before at auction too, and they always have that wonderful big scale bullion fringe. I've never liked the fabric on mine though, and I've never paid $250 for them.
Did you keep the bullion?
You know what? I don't know. Maybe it's a great scale.
You can give me your old bullion. I'll take it.
Anytime. And I love the way you use this again. This divine turquoise leather. That's so pretty.
Yeah, this is a chair. I originally had some brown chairs in this apartment that were a little bit dark in here, and these came from Bill Hodgins' estate. And when I got them, I had the idea of bringing the blue in from the other room, and Harry Heisman helped me do the thing, and we put the little grosgrain ribbon in there, and
So fresh and modern and stylish, and I love it with the egg yolk walls. I think it's just so pretty. And my favorite animal print on the pillows.
yeah, that's the Clarence House Tiger Velvet.
Looks great.
That wears very, very well. And it's a linen velvet sofa. That's a Keith Langham design, and it's great. It's down-filled, and when somebody comes to stay here, if my mother comes to stay, I sleep on the sofa, but if somebody sometimes crashes here, you can sleep
it's
on
nice
there.
and deep, so it's
really
comfortable,
deep.
and you can sleep on it.
I'm all about comfort. You know, I want to have places where people can sit and curl up, chairs that can be moved around and be in different positions.
I'm the same way, right.
You know, comfort
way.
is the key. You know, all the rest of it is all. People need to be like, you're comfortable in that chair. I'm comfortable in this chair. There's not any chair in this apartment that you can't sit in. Maybe these little chairs by the fireplace you wouldn't be comfortable sitting in for a long time, but most of the things I have here are comfortable.
Right, and I'm totally the same way. But I mean, I think looking around the apartment, I can see that we're both inspired by history and the decorative arts, and sort of the collecting of things that relate to what we do and who we are. And I think you can see that I can walk in this room and see what inspires you. And of course, as our friendship, I know what inspires you and you know what inspires me. But if you're sophisticated and smart and understand all this kind of decorating, it's very clear what the inspiration is. And a lot of it is about the history of decorative arts.
I've been lucky and had a lot of good mentors and friends. You know, Albert Hadley was one of my first clients in New York, and he and I were great friends. And I originally hung this bigger painting on the lower thing because it's a better painting, and I hung the littler one up. And Albert had the idea of switching them around, and he did a little drawing over there of it.
Which is super charming.
Yeah, we'll show that later.
That drawing.
But I waited until Albert was coming over for a drink one night, and I got out my hammer and I moved the paintings around. And he was right. There's no logistic in it, or no rule, I should say, of why it's that way. But it is that way. And I've been fortunate to have really good friends like him and you and lots of... Mario. I mean, the good thing is all of my clients have become mostly really good friends. And it's a really nice relationship to have with them. And I think that that's part of the success of the business is people know they're like, this is a Chris, and it's going to survive and it's going to last. And you know, if you're going to order something, I like to say we make lamps, we don't sell excuses. I mean, occasionally we'll get a color wrong and we'll have to send something else out, but we do that.
Oh, well, you run an impeccable business. But also the thing that I love is that you've also sort of moved into dishes and accessories,
garden stool,
and objects. Yeah. Again, like your gourds, I use them everywhere as candy jars. He makes these amazing gourds that I think was inspired by something that belonged to Albert Hadley.
Yeah, it was inspired. I can show you a little one in the other.
Yeah. And I love them just because they're just this great stylish object that you can use. I love that. And these are so wonderful.
Yeah, those were painted by Colfax and Fowler, and they were in Evangeline Bruce's dining room in her apartment in the Albany in England.
So they're faux painted.
They're faux painted.
Yeah, and I love the Delft on top of the on top of the
slowly
secretary.
Collected that. I bought the two, and then I bought the one later. And we have Fanny's ancestor that originally lived on Mario Boito's wall. My heart literally raced when I was beating on it. The topic of the conversation around our house during the months that he decides is, how much am I going to pay for the painting? How much? And Anthony's very good at telling me how much I'm going to pay. But what I then will pay at the end of the day. My heart rate. I got it for a normal lot of money, but I'm happy it's here.
And tell us about the divine flowers and fruit everywhere.
So these are from my friend Claire Potter. This is a antique one, meaning that it's about 40 years old. Claire is a really good friend, and we make together vases and lamps and pieces, but on her own, she does cabbages, auriculas. She did this pomegranate right here, the violets in the center, and the two artichokes were from Mario Boito's estate, but those were painted and made by a woman called Lady Anne Gordon, who you collect, who was Claire's big mentor and friend. And I have a small collection of Lady Anne Gordon things, but a lot more of Claire's things. So when I moved into this apartment forever ago, these bookcases were empty, and I was like, how in the hell am I ever going to fill these book collections? Now, before you all got here, I took 3 file boxes of extraneous books out of the apartment because, like they collect. And I listened to Dwayne Hampton talked about she has even hid books behind curtains. And I'm like, I've hidden books in a lot of places, but never hid them in my behind my curtains before. So these are all cookbooks, and they're mostly vintage cookbooks. Like these are Mrs. Beaton. There's a lot of MFK Fisher in here. It's a lot of butter and a lot of eggs. And I don't cook so much from these, but they're great books. There's more cookbooks down here. There's magazines with friends in it. Interesting auction catalogs that I need to keep around. And then over there are biographies and other books on interior design and gardening, my
Chris,
favorites.
will you show us that Albert Hadley
Yeah,
drawing?
So Albert came over and he told me that I needed to move the paintings around, and so he came and did this drawing of how they should be and waited till he was coming over here, and I tacked them up the way they should be.
There's the Duchess of Windsor.
Got the Duchess of Windsor. Everybody asks who these old people are, and I go, they're my grandparents.
I know. So
I'm like, if I have to explain it,
Oh my
I'm really
God.
not going to get
It's
into
so
it.
funny.
I'm like, they're my grandparents.
It's so funny you say that because in my entrance, I have a portrait of the Duke and Duchess of Windsor that my niece gave me, this candid photograph, and people always say, "Is that your parents?" I'm like, No, it's the Duke and Duchess of Windsor.
We do have my mom here, so
That's
we
cute.
do have some real parents here. My mom, who is
That's
a big
adorable.
entertainer, and I think I get a lot of my style from my mom. Except when I rented this apartment and I brought her in here, I was so proud to have a one-bedroom apartment. And she goes, "But where are you going to have your dinner? Where are you going to?" And I'm, Mom, there'll be a round table by that window over there, and I'll eat my dinner there, and I'm happy doing that. So it's a rental apartment, and when I got here, there were 2 windows, and they had bars on them, and to get to the outdoor space, you had to jump in and out of the window in the kitchen that had one of those elevator doors on it. And I worked with my landlord, and I said, I think we need to have a door over here, and we had an architect work with us. I didn't just put a doorway in and say, oh, now there's a doorway there. But
So this door over here is
that
now-
door wasn't there when I got
okay,
here.
that's great.
So we took a window out and put the doorway in. And I knew from the beginning that I was going to be here. I didn't imagine I was going to be here for the 23 years that I've been here, but I knew it would be long enough that it would be worthwhile to do some work here. And I'm glad that I did it. And
How many years have you lived?
23 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's great. Was this one of the things that really sold you on the
Totally.
apartment?
The wood-burning fireplace was one of the things that sold me on I sit here by myself, have a fire, and love it.
No,
love
it's
it.
so charming to have a fireplace in New York, and really not the norm. I mean, it's very different. I love that, and I love coming here for dinner, and there's like a fire, and yummy food, and delicious hors d'oeuvres. It just makes the room feel so cozy and lovely. So again, I love the curtains, Chris.
The curtains are a like Nancy Lancaster sort of idea as well too. Todd Romano got me to do the bamboo thing behind the thing to hide out that blank space that exists up there.
I do things like that
So,
too,
and
yes.
it's got a venison liner on the inside of it, which is really nice, and you don't ever see it very much, but it's this nice little squiggly line that's in there.
So pretty.
And I have a little indoor garden of hyacinth bulbs that I'm forcing, and
Is that from Anthony's store? Are they from Anthony's store?
The narcissus and the tulips are from Anthony's store there.
I love also the way you always have beautiful flowers. And most of the time, the flowers are from your garden, right?
If they're in flower, but I'm also fine with there being just a sculpture. Like you could move that little gourd out, you could move one of Claire's pieces, you can get some fruit from the grocery store, put it on there. It doesn't have to be flowers. I mean, we seem to be swimming in flowers, so we have a lot of them, but it doesn't, not always does it have to be
agree
there,
with
you know.
So this is like where I love this, and it was from Stair, right?
You don't remember?
I do. Did I buy it?
You did buy it.
And then I hadn't seen it?
You hadn't seen it. I went up there and looked. There were 7 pieces that Claire had that were at Stair, and I decided that this one was my favorite one. And all of the rest went for reasonably high amounts of money. But this one...
This was the best priced one?
This one was the most high-priced one, as I was the underbidder and determined to get it, but put down the phone because I was like, I just am not
And I
going
ended up
to-
getting
and
it.
You ended up getting it, and I called you. I go, did you get anything from the stair sale? And you go, yeah, I paid through the nose, and my heart sank a little when I heard that. And I go, what did you get? And you go, well, I got this Claire Potter piece. And I was like, which one of those did you get? And he said, you got this one. And I was like, oh my God. And then he said later, he's like, I really don't love it as much as you love it. So he then kindly sold it to me. So I paid him off in installments. You could check your little ledger. I still owe you $20 or $30 for it, or maybe more.
And you know what it was? I think I got it home, and the colors weren't right in
Well,
my
it's a
living
very
room.
country piece. This
Yeah.
is at home here, or it would be home in the farm, but
Yeah.
I don't think of this piece and think of you. Like the auricula, the violets over there, those are all pieces I can see
Right,
living in
right,
your
right,
houses,
right.
but a basket of zinnias, not so much.
I love it. I mean, I think it's absolutely beautiful, but somehow it didn't work in my house.
Well, thank you for giving it to me.
Thank you for buying it. So
If
again,
I know that something's out
we
there,
talk about
we
it.
talk about it. But if I don't, like, I didn't think you were interested in this at the time that this was being sold, and so I didn't bring it up with you. I just,
Well, it's
I didn't
also-
think you'd be interested in the thing in the front hall. That was, it's like you don't want to bother a friend with something. It's not like I'm crazy. Like everything I bid on, I'm not going to run past you.
well, that's the
you know.
problem. And also sometimes you spontaneously decide to bid on something, and at the last minute you bid on it, and you don't know who you're bidding against. There really should be it should have pictures of or names on a ticker tape of who you're bidding against, who you can make the
The
decision.
auction houses are not going to like this conversation.
We've always had a good time together. I think that not only do we love working together, but I love Chris as a friend. And I think he's such a wonderful friend. He's so generous. He's so lovely and kind. And he's so hardworking. And I find that inspiring. Everything Chris does, he does with his whole heart, which I love. Whether he entertains, whether he cooks, whether he gardens, he's very hands-on with everything that he does. I'm hands-on too, but I'm not as much hands-on with things as Chris is. My partner screams at me and says, I depend on like an army of people to help me to make my life run. But Chris is not like that, and I love that about him, and it inspires me. One of the things that I always love to say about Chris is, he really taught me how to entertain in a relaxed manner and not to, make a big thing about having people over for dinner. So many people make it so much pressure on themselves to entertain, and when you have these lovely apartments like this that's so gracious and divine, and Chris orders in and puts it all together, and he'll have 8 people here for a buffet, and it's so relaxed and yummy, and it's just so nice to be at home. Home is really the nicest place to eat, and so when you can do it, and you can do it in a relaxed manner, I think it's amazing.
So the scene for the dinner party is, people come in, they get a drink. The one area that I try to keep off limits is my kitchen, because it's so small. Mainly there's you have to do this juggling act when the food comes of how's it all going to come. But
you do it so well. You do it. You make it feel effortless. And again, it's always, I always think it's such a big deal to have people for dinner. But when you come here, you just feel so, it's just so easy. You're so good at that.
I try and make one thing myself. Like today, I had some time, so I made some chocolate chip cookies. So we'll have a chocolate chip cookie
chocolate chip cookies
for dessert.
On the
but
planet.
There's not always time to do that, and there's no harm in getting some cookies from Eli's EAT,
yeah, but I'm
any
sorry,
place
I don't care
around.
What you say. You gave me that recipe for those
well, it's
cookies.
in the book. It's in the book.
It's in his Chris's beautiful book. But I have that recipe for those cookies, and we make them in the country all the time. And I'm always telling people, I can't tell you how many times I've given that recipe away and told them, go buy Chris's book and get that recipe for those cookies. They're so good. They're the best chocolate chip cookies you've ever had.
Welcome to my kitchen. It's a teeny kitchen, but I have cooked Thanksgiving dinner in here and lots of other meals. It can be done. There's a little stove, 2 sinks, and an etagere in my refrigerator. I keep a set of creamware and dishes that I've made along in here, and there's copper pots. There's a little bar here. Everything you need to have. I'm weirdly interested in salt and pepper, especially when they're related to a garden or a baskets theme. This is a little Nantucket one. Here's a little barrel one, and the little barrel one came without any liners, and I was wondering, who can make little liners for that? I'm like, you're a potter, you make the little things yourself, and it fits right in there. And I am a Deporteau addict. You'll see more of it in the bedroom, but these are all different cocktail napkins of all their different patterns that I love to use. And we use them, we don't hoard them, they're out in display. You gotta have things. Suzanne Reinstein had a saying that I think Joan Didion said, that every day is all you have. So we have everyday silver here, we have everyday glasses. I think if you own something, you have to not be afraid to use it. I don't think we should have anything that you're not afraid to use. But in here we've got, what is this? This is a pattern that Jonathan Gargiulo got me going on. This is called The Death of the Wolf. There's all kinds of different creamware in here. This is a Wedgwood pattern that I use. And I use this to eat my Chinese food on, my sushi, every day is all we have. So this is my marbleware. This is a lavender one. I have the least bit about my own stuff here. I think that this is Spo Greek, which is a really great one. They did this in all different colorations, and some of it has a Greek key border on it, and the Greek key border is post 18 something. So the ones that I have right here are the older ones. But when Anthony came along, he would grab things like this bowl, which is approximately 200 years old, and be making muffins out of it. And I'm yeah, the cupboard over there has the muffin mixers in it. So we're gonna save that for the salad pieces in here. These are sumo oranges, which are one of my favorite. They look like they have fallen out of a Dutch landscape, but they're really easy to peel. Look at how easy it is to get in there. And we'll all taste one of those at lunchtime. It's so good. The floor is tomato soup. The walls are brown. It's all very simple. I've hung some different dishes on the wall to give it a little bit of personality. There's a bar flight one there, one of the Spode ones there, and some other ones up there. But I'm very at home in here and love that we're all on one floor. The fish over here came out of my family's house in Canada. I had that framed and has a little picture light on it. Oh yeah, so this is an iced tea that I drink all the time. It's one of the Tao teas ones, and it's a green tea with lemongrass and ginger in it. And I make a big picture of it every morning and drink it all day long, and it's so good. Very low on caffeine and good for you.
So Chris, tell us about the fabric on the walls. It's so pretty.
So it's Old World Weavers. Like all good things, it's sadly discontinued.
Welcome
it's
to my
fabric
world.
that we had laminated and put on the walls. And it has a little bit of grosgrain mustard colored trim around the top of it. But it's nice because it sort of envelops the room and makes it sort of like a little cocoon back here.
Divine.
So,
And the bed?
So Albert Hadley made me the bed. DeAngelis did all the upholstery on it. This is a Porto pattern that was no longer, that was
Lovely.
a favorite of Jackie O's
So pretty.
and Bunny Mellon's, and I got Joan Carl to bring it back for
Love,
me.
so pretty.
And Joan says she calls it Christopher's Marguerites, which I don't know.
So pretty.
And then our friend Jane Scott Hodges, who we love, who makes also the best thing.
Leontine, yeah, the
linens.
prettiest.
She did the bed coverlet on here. So the
And
lamps, of course, are
Of course,
mine.
divine.
Yeah.
And I love that little story in the window. Tell us about
So
that.
these are my hyacinth bulb forcers. So we refrigerate the hyacinth bulbs for a couple of months. Anthony has a cooler at his office that is perfect for this. And then we bring them out and they slowly start to grow and ideally flower. He chilled these narcissus blossoms and we forced those. So it's like a little garden inside because there's no garden. It's March. There's not much going on outside right now, but inside you can always have a bloom. And the hyacinths have the best smell when they get going.
So, Chris, you kept that for me because I would have traded for that little Claire Potter. Those are my colors.
You can't have that one because
Those were my colors.
That's the first thing she ever made for me.
Those are my colors.
Yeah, that was the very first piece
That's
that Claire
so
did.
pretty.
And they are the colors of the sweet peas that I grow at the farm.
Those are my colors. What a beauty. And the mirror is so pretty.
Yeah, the mirror came from a New Orleans antique place. This rug is indoor-outdoor sisal. You can get it from Stark and other fabric carpet places make it. It's made for being on the outside of somebody's porch, and so it literally, you can put water on it. It doesn't stain. It's really, really...
It's really genius.
Really
and, you know,
genius.
the reason why I stopped using sisal is because of the splinters, which I hate. But this is great, and it feels so soft,
It's
too.
very soft under your feet.
And
I'm so glad I
it's
did
great
it.
for animal accidents,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
The mirror came from Richard Keith Langham's showroom studio when it was in the bank building.
Yeah, so chic. I love
came
that.
From there. I love a bullseye mirror because you can see everything that goes on in the room from it. So these are spaniel paintings. This is the actual first spaniel painting I ever bought. I bought it from the Christie's house sales. This one belonged to Mario Boada, as did the little one on the wall there. This one came from Niles Smith. I love the little bow there. And then this is an auricula that George Oakes painted, which is the national flower of Colfax and Fowler. And this is a secret that everybody should have, that shouldn't be a secret, is you need to have a pad of paper beside your bed, because right before I go to bed, this flood of things that I need to get done comes across me, and I write down lists. Sometimes it's just chicken scrawl because I don't even turn on the light to write it.
And what's that beautiful house? What is that?
It came from Bill Hodgins' estate. It's a house in either Ireland or Scotland. I just love the big gardens in front of it and the guy with the dogs and stuff. I'd be very much at home there. There were two moments that I can think of. The first one is a funny one. And the first one was when Nick Olson left Miles Redd's office and he came into my studio and he had a purchase order and a check. And he said, my very first pair of Christopher Spitzmiller lamps, I'm going to be a real decorator after all. And I got up from where I was sitting and I gave Nick a big hug and I'm like, I love you. That was such a nice moment. The other moment, which really sort of was amazing for me, is I had made lamps for the Clintons when they left the White House. And I had made some lamps for Laura Bush for the upstairs of the White House. And when the Obamas moved into the White House, I wrote Michael Smith a letter and I said that I wanted to donate some lamps. And he came to my studio and showed me a rendering of the Oval Office with my two blue lamps at the end of that room. And I literally started to cry in that moment because I was like, wow, I've done it.
I guess for me, it was really the first time I was published in Elle Decor, and that, that was under Margaret Russell, and it just, it was a very important moment in my career. And after that, I guess another very important moment for me was when I wanted a book with Rizzoli, and Rizzoli said yes and gave me a book. And, you know, the New York School of Interior Design receiving that Lifetime Achievement Award, I mean, that makes you feel ancient, but I mean, it does. It makes you feel ancient, which, you know, I guess we're not getting any younger. But truthfully, you know, those are things that really stand out. So, where'd you order from today?
You told me to order this from Three Guys, I think it is. It's their Corfu salad.
It's yummy.
Oh. So I took the salad, I mixed it up in the kitchen, I put it in a better bowl and
So
let
chic.
people serve it. I like to set the table the night before for a dinner party. So Martha Stewart is a good friend of mine. She wrote the introduction to my book, and she sets the table sometimes as far ahead as 2 weeks ahead. Uses great little name cards is one of my things. And Martha's a big believer in mixing things. And I've learned from her, I've learned from Bunny Williams. You know, I like that all shouldn't match. Like, we have purple plates, we have a blue tablecloth here, we have a gold catch pot, we have red flowers. It's all a dinner that kind of comes together how it is. And like, this plate is different from this, but they all work together. They're a conversation between all the different things.
And don't you think it's also that because when you buy antiques, it's hard to match them sometimes. So you end up mixing and creating sort of your own thing. And I also think it makes the table individual and modern. The way you mix things personally makes it your own. Yeah. And I love that. Mm-hmm.
So other food options that I like, Chinese is always a good one. There's a restaurant around the corner here that's Italian that's called Via Quadrono. I order from them a lot. Alex has got me, what's the Asian place that is
Kapamasa.
new? Kapamasa. You know, I like to mix it up so that people are not coming back for the same thing. If I can make something myself, I do, but sometimes I don't have the time to do it. And people are just happy. They're just happy to eat dinner in somebody's home. I mean, we all eat out when we're New Yorkers so much. It's, I think, the nicest gift you can give somebody is to have dinner at home. And I don't have people to help me unless I have over 8 people. There's not anybody here. Mostly I have more people up in Millbrook, so I'm more inclined to have help up there. But
you also cook in Millbrook. And
I
you
cook,
and
we do it all together. And
Anthony's desserts and your cooking is delicious in Millbrook. I feel like in Millbrook you're cooking a lot.
I don't mind doing the cooking, but I don't want to, like, here if I'm ordering in, I can do the dishes. If I'm cooking for a long time in Millbrook, I want to have somebody else to at least help me clean up a little bit and get things in place. I think it's all about being comfortable and not being rushed and having the time. And there doesn't mean that there's not moments of anxiety. We have moments of that, but you have to be like, I've done this before. All of the menus that I cook in Millbrook, the roast chicken that I've made, I have baked so many times that I know are going to turn out. But listen, I've had Martha Stewart over and I have burned the chicken and she's fine with that. She's there for the evening and for the experience of being at dinner at home. It's not about the perfect salad. I mean, we're going to have a good salad today, but it may not be the best salad. Sometimes
don't you think it's also just about a relaxed host? I
Yeah.
think that's what makes it, you know, that you're welcoming and that you're hospitable and that you have options for people, that you have, you know, whatever they want to drink, and that there's thought and care, and that you've made the effort. And I think most people are just so happy to come to a house, to be at home where somebody's made an effort and they feel welcomed. And I think that's the best gift you can give. Oh my God, I'm so excited. My favorite cookies.
There you go. That was it. Is it as good as usual?
Perfection. It's not dry. It's got the perfect ratio of chocolate. It's not too floury. It's not like a cookie where it's like cake. It's almost like a Florentine, you know, but it's soft, which I love. It's not hard. You really are a pro. They're unbelievable.
Thank you.
So we find the recipe in Chris's beautiful book, which if you don't have, you have to have. It's a beauty, and it's so informative, and it's a wonderful book. I give it as gifts all the time, and I love it.
On today's episode of Homeworthy, one of our favorite hosts, interior decorator Alex Papachristidis, takes us to his good friend David Monn's fabulous New York City apartment. For over 2 decades, David has planned a variety of prominent events, from intimate private parties and lavish weddings to presidential state dinners. Alex and David have been friends for more than 20 years and share a mutual affection for design and dogs. And to boot, they are both authors of beautiful coffee table books. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. By clicking the join button below, you not only support the production of these videos, you also gain access to exclusive content just for members. And today, you'll be able to see an extended and in-depth conversation with Alex and David that you won't want to miss. So join today to see more of the homes you love.
Darling.
Hello there. Welcome.
Oh, so happy to see you.
Hey, Coop.
Hey, Winston.
Say hi to Winston.
Hi, boys. Hi. Hi, Gwen. Hi.
Let him roll. There we go.
Oh my God, everything looks so beautiful.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Alex Papachristidis, and this is my amazing and talented friend David Monn and his beautiful dog, Winston. Welcome to Homeworthy, and here we are in David's incredibly stylish apartment. So David and I are amazing friends. David,
we are.
So how long have we been friends?
Oh my, do we have to tell that?
Yes, of course we don't mind telling
Over
people.
20 years.
Over 20 years. There's something that feels almost garden-like about the apartment. I feel like I'm almost at the Getty Villa or something with the wonderful columns and the plants growing everywhere and
Well,
sort of that
living things
that sculpted
is so important because it is we are part of this energy of living material, and it's not just sort of decorative. I mean, I travel a lot, so I'm not here as much as I would like. So having I love, contrary to, I don't love masses of flowers. I think flowers are
I still like
punctuation.
flowers.
Yes, but and it's very expensive, and so but plants are.
Well, I'm the same way. I mean, we have more plants in our house than we have flowers because also, you're not worrying about constantly changing the water.
And they're house plants, by the way. They're not fancy plants. I mean, these are, I love ivies.
They're
I love
too. Ferns,
simple.
ivies, orchids do so well.
Yeah.
They're so, but it's so lovely, and it feels just beautiful and warm and inviting and cozy and everything that it should be.
And
Well, you're a little bit of, shall we say, a jack of all trades.
Well-
that you have, everything you do with style and taste.
well, that's very
But
sweet.
but
But
I'm not
I love to
sweet.
do
I'm
it-
telling you the truth because and just so you know, I wouldn't do a party without David Monn. I really wouldn't and we have the best time working together.
I think probably better than any.
I
Actually,
mean,
Alex, really,
we can say 4 words to each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
We say 4 words to each other. We have 6 conversations, and then it's all created, and we both are happy as clams,
and
right?
It's all because it's all from the same kind of core of aesthetic things we think about and we love.
So, oh my God, your entrance foyer is so stylish, David. I love it. It's so chic.
Well, I didn't want to. I come in. It's the elevators open up. There's only 11 of us in the building, and I wanted it to be. I didn't want you to come right in the loft. I wanted to create a little bit of a moment. But Alex, do you remember?
Yes, that beautiful column.
The
Eve Kaplan that you bought at auction, right?
And it was really you who introduced me first to her. You called and said that I had to buy something at this auction because you were a part of this charity. But I love her work, and moreover, I'd love to have.
She's so talented.
But she's extraordinary.
It's Eve Kaplan, and she's represented by Gerald Bland, who's really one of the best antique dealers left in the city, and he has some beautiful artisans who make beautiful things, and and I love the way you put it, on an antique table and over a wonderful, an English
What's
gilt
so
mirror.
beautiful about her work, and you
it's
have so
contemporary.
much of her things, is that they are this beautiful mix of tradition and contemporary in a medium that's very unexpected.
Well, she was an 18th century furniture restorer.
Which totally makes sense
and
to her
that's
work.
why and that's what I love about her. I love that concept sort of something that's modern but with such a strong classical interest and that this is totally classical thing, but done in a modern way, and
Very.
I love that about it. It makes it timeless.
Actually, you'll love this.
Oh, yes?
You may not know, but you do know this artist.
You know, I don't. It's so beautiful. It's little strawberries. It's Fraise du Bois.
It's Louis Kahn.
Is it? I've never seen
And
something.
I think in the same form of Yves' work, I mean, Louis, Louis was, in France, you must be, to be considered a master artist, you must be a painter, a sculptor, and a cabinet maker.
Well, he makes beautiful furniture too. I love his furniture.
Which was the last of his, which is how I actually met him.
I just bought the most beautiful console for a client from Liz O'Brien that is just so incredible. It's
the marquetry.
Yeah, no, it has a plain wood top, but the bronze and just the way that it's of the Giacometti quality. I think
I think it is.
Yeah.
This is a piece that was a part of a series that was very whimsical to him. But I think his part is that it's the history, it's the classic. There's a series of things that he did from Versailles, and this was.
There's always a reference to almost a Versailles tub of sorts, right?
Yeah, there's always
the kids are having so much fun.
Hi, boys.
Oh, look at how chic your coat closet is. I love that.
My hats. But actually, Alex, I always give credit to you for the umbrellas because coming into your home, you always have gorgeous umbrellas should that anyone need it if it rains when they're there. And when I did this apartment and I was working and finishing this my coat closet, I cared that it be the same. So that is actually homage to you all the time.
I love you, please. Well, let me tell you something. My life's full of homages to you too. And tell us about her. She's so beautiful, David.
Well, Roman terracotta.
Beautiful.
What she is, which you really sort of can't see, it's a part of it's missing, but she was some maritime building because she has an anchor here, so she was part of a sea.
Beautiful, and the draping. And again, I love sort of the modern simplicity with the juxtaposition of something so beautiful and classical.
And then these are really old columns. These are Swedish, actually.
Beautiful.
Pedestals that I
beautiful.
met or that I found in Paris. These, Alex,
beautiful.
many years ago.
Chinese horses, and I love the scale. I've never seen one in this.
Well, this is
so big.
This is actually so. Most people have that you would see are from the Tang dynasty, which are what the two behind are. These were burial figures. They were put into the tombs of wealthy people.
For your afterlife, right?
Exactly.
So that like you were taking.
That's right.
So that in the afterlife,
the horse would be there to take you out.
Right.
And so this is Han, actually. This is even earlier. And the reason they're larger was the scale of the terracotta. The craftsmanship. This is 300 years earlier than Tang, and they hadn't quite perfected the art.
Well, these are a little bit more refined and delicate.
Because as time
but the
went on, they were
scale
able
of
to.
this is so beautiful. And I love this. This is the little office.
Yes, this is the. I have two sort of work areas that I have. One here in the front and one in the back. But again, it's just light.
Divine.
Light.
Divine. Well, it's so interesting the way you've used the space. Oh, David, there's definitely a point of view here. So could you sort of describe the point of view? And I mean, I could describe it for you, but I'm going to let you do it since it's your apartment. And then also the other thing I want to ask you is, where did you, it's so hard to shop nowadays, and when you did this apartment. So where did you find so many of these beautiful things?
Well, the great question. So I am, from my own work when we're working together, I'm a monochromatic sort of thinker. That's actually probably one of the things, Alex, I have loved the most about you and admired and in awe of, because you have an unbelievable sense of color. And you are able to put color together that absolutely would petrify me.
Who I really feel like was my mentor, really. The person who I always looked to for color, Mario.
Oh, Mario.
The way he mixed prints, Mario Boada, the way he mixed colors and prints, to me was always, you know, I just
Yeah.
watched him and learned so much from him. I never worked for him, but he was a friend, and we were lucky enough to do show houses together, and I always paid such attention
Yeah.
to the way he mixed print and color, and I just thought it was so incredible.
Well, you do it in a way that, as I said, even, you know, and in my work, I don't find it. I find, you know,
That's not true. You've done beautiful, colorful parties for me.
for you, I have, but no one else.
Is that true?
No one else out there. You look through the pages of my book and you won't see it, because and I'll tell you seriously in that regard, because it is you. You couldn't have a party that isn't that and have you in
But
it.
I mean, I adore white.
Yeah.
You know, I adore cream. I think it's beautiful. I mean, I think it's so soothing and and also the thing that's so interesting about the apartment, David, is because of the lack of color,
Yeah.
the objects
Well, that
and
was the intention.
shapes and the things become so important.
That was absolutely the intention.
So
from the very
describe,
beginning.
tell us.
So I thought the only thing that I
Because
really...
it's more than just no color here, David. It's,
well,
it's much
it is-
more than that.
There is a color. What I set off with, I personally have never liked floors and furniture that do not match each other.
I understand.
And so I knew that I wanted, I became obsessed with the Northern Light in Sweden, and I knew that that was very important for me for, in fact, these floors have come from Sweden. These are
They're such a beautiful color. They're
you
so
know,
beautiful.
They're white, Danish white, which is very different than American white oak. And so this reflection that comes from it, and from that then it led everything else. It was wherever else there was wood, whether it was a bookcase or a mantle or the furniture. I mean, the furniture, much of this furniture I found in, I used to, it's harder now today, but I would shop in the flea market in Paris, and I bought things for years that was just in storage because I would buy things that I would love.
Love, right.
And you just know, I learned a long time ago on a trip that I took many years ago with Caroline Rome, who was a great friend, and Bill Blass, that when you see something, you must seize it because it doesn't come back.
Carpe diem, right?
Yeah,
Seize the moment.
You must. And I mean, look, that's a luxury if you can, but I did over time. And so that palette of whether it was in a textile, I wanted linen, I didn't want it to be fancy furniture or fancy things, you know. I had a lot of things because I thought the things would be the definition of me. And life changed and I started over. And I made a commitment to myself with this space because this space was, for the first time, something that I was mine entirely. And I didn't want anything in here, not one single thing, as small as it would be or as big as it would be, that didn't have a meaning and a purpose of why I bought it. And there is a story to absolutely every single little thing that is here because
I understand
they are things that bring me joy.
And also it's your memories of your life, right?
All of it.
It's
all
like,
of
isn't
it.
this a little bit, I feel that way about our home. It's sort of a tableau to who we are and what we've collected and,
Well, your
and
home
our
is
trips.
so extraordinary.
Well, so is
Your
yours,
things-
David.
well,
so is yours.
well.
Please, it's and it also, but don't you love that you can sometimes look at a thing and it brings back a whole story in your head,
entirely.
right?
You know, this part of the apartment for me is just sort of the gallery where people come in the beginning, and then we move on along the way. You know, I'm often asked, where did you gather all these things? And they've been either treasures that were things that I found. I mean, this, you will appreciate this. This was the inkwell on Saul's desk.
Oh, that's so
And,
sweet.
Gayford
That's
wanted me to have this
amazing.
after his passing. And this, by the way, is a very lovely sculpture that Saul had bought for Gayford at one point.
that's sweet.
That we were, but
That's so nice.
good memories. So anyhow, from here, I've broken the apartment up into really 3 spaces. One is the first sort of sitting area, and then we go on to a dining area, and then after dinner to what I call the music room.
And I love
And-
the way, we're in a loft, but this feels so cozy and just so
Well, I'm
It's just-
symmetrical,
it's
you
so
know.
beautiful.
That I think we share that together. We have this sort of love of of order and the French. Everything's in pairs.
Right.
I broke the room up that there was a front and back that's identical, centered around the fireplace, and then behind it the book units I've collected over the years.
So I love this seating area. It's just so beautiful and so luxurious. And what's the piece over the fireplace?
So this is a French artist. There's a pair that flank each of the fireplaces. This is the female. The male is in the back of the apartment, which you'll obviously figure that out why. And he blows the glass, and then he glazes them with mercuries and golds. And I just loved his work. Many people think it's Anish Kapoor, but it's not.
Well, it totally has that vibe,
yeah.
but it's in glass and Anish Kapoor's in bronze.
It is. It's
And the
glass.
bust is wonderful. What's he?
I'm sorry, I'm going to draw a blank on his, but it's the two heads. You know, is Hercules and Apollo, I believe, are the two.
Anyway, it's
that are
beautiful.
together,
And is
but
it
yeah.
marble?
Yeah, it's stone. This is actually really lovely. There's a pair. It's an artist by the name of Michael Mark, and Michael Mark is a young gentleman. He's probably now in his 40s. He won the Rembrandt Award of work, and what's really incredible is that he works these two pieces. And I'll show you the one in the back of the apartment. This piece is neon orange. Neon orange underneath.
Beautiful.
And Rembrandt's technique of painting these extremely bright colors underneath, and then the light shines through, and his work is called The Light Within.
So beautiful.
But he paints with his hands. He doesn't paint with brushes, so.
And I love the little
Yes.
chinoiserie tea table.
Well, this is actually how I met Louis Kahn, by the woman by Nicole Bruget in Paris, who has probably the oldest atelier for lacquer in probably in the world. And I found this beautiful panel of hers. It's from it's actually Japanese.
It's so
it's from
pretty.
a Japanese traveling chest. And then she made the base and legs for me.
Tell us, the bookcases are so beautiful. Did you find these?
No,
Or did you buy these?
I had them made.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I had them made. I took them from an old.
And I love the way you've done this with the pull-out shelves to be able to put books down and the drawers, and
Yeah,
they're so practical.
They pull out at times. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
yeah, they're beautiful.
But yeah, and you know, Alex, again, I took them from an old English model, and I had them made and done in the same color wood as the floor. So again, it would just sort of, disappear.
Your beautiful monochromaticness, which I love. So beautiful. He's just really the most talented and creative, and the thing that I love about you is, and every time I've done an event with you, it's like the way I decorate for people. It's what I want, but in a way that I couldn't do on my own. As you know, you have dreams in your head, and I think that's the thing about you, David. You make people's dreams come true. You know, what's that crazy, that commercial for we make people's dreams come true? It's like,
that's funny.
But that's what you do.
Yeah, I probably also, Alex, because I always looked at this from a totality, never from an insular item. And you who know design so well that there is a story behind what you're doing. You know, it's not just the layer on the top that you see. It is the underpinning of all of it. If it isn't there, it makes nothing happen, quite frankly.
Well, that's again, the thing is your attention to detail, David, is so beautiful, and it's so sophisticated and interesting, and it just, your parties feel like you're in somebody's house almost, or
Well, I would hope
or
so.
an environment that wasn't just created for one night,
Yeah.
and that's what I think so incredible.
I thank you, Alex. I mean, we're in simpatico, so we're kind of, preaching our own.
I know,
we're our
but
choir
that's
masters.
nice.
But what I always
But that's why we're
care
friends, isn't it?
about,
Isn't that that's why we're friends?
It is. I care that when somebody walks into something that we've done, that there's a gasp that happens because they're seeing something. But I care that they never say first, it's a David Monn. David Monn did this, because it should say you first.
Right.
Who is the host?
Right.
What is the event? And then as they're in this, the complexity and the facets are so deep that they say, oh, this has to be David Monn because it's, because nobody else goes this far in a way. And I do take, it's important to me that it never say me first. Ever, because then it's been about my ego, not about client.
Well, it says you because it's so highly stylized and so beautifully done. And I just, I don't know. I go to a lot of parties and I've seen a lot of people do different things and, huge parties and weddings and events. And, Scott and I are lucky enough to be invited to so many beautiful parties. But there's nobody like you. I mean, there's just nobody like you. You just have a different, things look good, and I'm not saying other people don't do a good job and execute things well, but it never looks as stylish as when you do it. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. As they say, I wouldn't tell you if I didn't really think so.
And I know that's true, Alex. That's part of the thing that we share in common, is that we do tell the truth.
Right.
And we're each other's advocate and also each other's critic when we need to be. Alex, I think the thing that is important, I grew up very, very poor. One of 6 children in a 2-bedroom house.
Where
in a small town in Pennsylvania
Right.
called Fayetteville. It's very near Gettysburg, south and west, near the Amish area. So the world that I grew up in was never the world that I have come, to be in, and I'm very, very, very blessed.
We all are.
And I never lose sight of that. I'm still a farm boy and a country boy at heart. And what I tried to do with, you mentioned my book earlier, but in the very beginning, I wanted the book to be called Curiosity. It's called The Art of Celebrating, but the reason I wanted the book be called Curiosity is because, I believe that you do not have to be creative to create. You must be curious.
Well, see, it's so funny. That's such an interesting thing. You bring up such an interesting point.
So this area is really interesting. I mean, for me, this is it's where I dine, but the entire apartment was built. I built this apartment around this artist.
So incredible.
His name is Hiroyuki Matsumayo. And the story of him is really quite fascinating because many, many years ago, I went to the Armory Fair, and there was a piece of a painting that I saw, and it was this scale but turned vertically. And I walked up to it from a distance, and I was like, "What is this?" And it turns out, the woman says to me, "It's a photograph." And I happened to know the painting. I knew the painting had never been photographed before. It was a painting that was held privately and had never been shown. And I said, that's very fascinating because I happen to know this painting and it's never been photographed. How did you do this? And she was like, oh my God, you have to wait here. You know about this. You have to find, I want to get the artist. So she brings the artist over to me. And he's this man who he was my age, but this was about 15 years ago, and does not speak English. And she said, let him explain to you. And so he explains and translates and brings me closer. And as I got up closer,
why are they so translucent? Why do I feel like there's like almost light coming from behind?
Because there is actually. And so he's fascinated. He's an extraordinary artist, but and his I would say he's probably somewhere on the Asperger's of the high ends of genius, and he was fascinated with a period of art from Impressionism into abstract art.
And the two artists,
well, it? they are.
It
Alex,
feels Turnerish. Yes.
That's it. They are. So he wanted to do an homage to the two men who are credited with abstract, Turner and Friedrich. The piece I saw was a Friedrich. And So I met his studio, and what he does is he says, come closer, and you see that his work is made up of thousands of photographs. So when you are looking here, you will see that these are
God,
people.
I can see people.
These are ships.
Oh my God.
There's a town. Over here is.
Oh, I never even noticed
down
that.
Down here is a village, and I mean you can see here. Look, there's a town. There's a town here.
Yes.
So, but when you're from the distant, it is the Turner. In fact, I will show you.
So is it the use of color that creates that?
No, it is each one of these, he will say probably has in the neighborhood of 30,000 images.
Wow.
What he does is his technique or his his technique rather, he considers the pixel like a brush stroke of a feather or a hair of a brush. And so he goes out and he photographs and photographs. Like, what was the mind of Turner doing when he was seeing? So the photograph is collecting all of this. And then he collages them. They're not color corrected. They are not, they are images that he keeps layering and layering and layering. And then he puts them onto they're a film. And then he lights them from behind. And behind this is a whole myriad of little wee LED lights. The only place I have LED lights.
Well, but that's okay, you're allowed.
And some of them have little gels over them. Some of them have little pieces that you only let things shine through. And what's incredible, I built this apartment for him because when I met him, he was working on a series. And actually, it's fascinating, Alex. I'll show you because he allowed me to use it as the end pages in my book because this is really what the apartment was to be. And he, when Michelangelo had been imprisoned, the Medicis put him in prison for a period of time, and Michelangelo was drawing on these walls, and they discovered that years later these incredible drawings, and he became fascinated with them. And I built this whole wall for him to do a piece. I brought him here, and he said no.
Triptych.
He said no, I'm not going to do it. He felt this was too heavy for here, and he didn't feel that he could tell that story. So he said, I'm going to send you what I think you should have. And when he sent them, I mean, probably my most favorite artist of all time, which is not a hard thing, is Turner. I'm sure he brought it out for him because he likes to share his toys.
That's cute.
And I was a little apprehensive in the very beginning, quite frankly, because I didn't want anyone to think that I was putting faux Turners on my wall. And
but I didn't mean to say that there's a Turner quality to it, but it's not. It doesn't feel like a faux Turner because it's much more contemporary.
But what's so complex about them is the interesting part, and they're probably now my most favorite things that I own because they just are. They bring sort of happiness, I think.
What I also love, because we're in the center of the apartment where there are no windows.
Yeah.
And I love the way they're lit. So now all of a sudden we're bringing light back in it's almost as if you're looking through these incredible windows.
It's true.
Into these beautiful sort of seascape cloud scenes. And I love it. It's just beautiful. And the table, tell us about the table and chairs, David.
Well, the table is, again, one of those finds that I found in the flea market in Paris. It was from the Bank of France. It was, I think you would come in here, and these benches were with it, which was really incredible. I think you'd sit and write out your deposit slips or something like that. It was in horrible shape. It was, yellow oak, and so we cerused it. But what I really was gonna, I wanted to try was, I didn't want dining chairs. I didn't want the backs of a chair to be the thing that would stop you from coming. And yet it's something easily I didn't, want to have. I don't have storage, so I didn't have a place to put chairs that I'd bring in. So I thought I'm just going to take the benches and see how it works with people at the benches, and it really is pretty incredible.
These are amazing too. So what are these?
Well, this is a young artist. His name is Sarab. He is Indian. He is so extraordinary. They're paper.
Well, these are just beautiful, though. I love them. And I love that you don't have to water them and you don't have to worry about them, right? And the scale of them.
Well, that was it. I always need scale in here. And again, that's, I'm not here that often. And so it's hard to put things here. Louis Kahn, by the way.
All these beautiful Louis Kahn trees, so beautiful. And then real plants.
I love these.
Beautiful. What kind of flower is this, David?
It's a passion vine. And it's incredible because they just open up. I mean, they open up and they close in the sunlight. So we're at the right time of the day. They're kind of happy.
And I've been here in the evening when you light all the candles, and it's so magical and really, it's transporting. It's so beautiful, and the beautiful sculptures on the table that you've thrown in, and it's just lovely. What's this? This is so interesting.
Oh, this is actually it's an Italian artist, and she takes old textbooks and literature books, and this is called The Living Word. She's titled it, and they're just old. I don't even remember when you were a kid. Did you ever take the Sears catalog and fold it and make it a doorstop? It was like a camp project.
No.
Oh, you were too fancy for that. But
I don't know if I was too fancy for it. We just
you didn't need the Bergdorf catalog, not the Sears catalog. But
I don't know about that. But
it's all
what it
folded
reminds
pages.
me of, it reminds me of my mother's dictionary. We had a dictionary table in the library, and my mother would tell us to go look words up that we couldn't pronounce.
I love that.
And we had this huge unabridged dictionary on a dictionary table, and she would say, "You need to go look that word up."
I love that.
Because we didn't know
Good
what it
for
was.
her. I love that.
She's just beautiful, David. She's incredible.
Well, these are all they're from the turn of the century.
19th century, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
they were
beautiful.
taking
She's beautiful.
bisque and creating these
Love.
old famous sculptures.
Just beautiful. Everything's so pretty. And this is amazing.
Well, I love Lacan. Probably one of the most intricate copies or pieces of the Roman era. But and there's an amazing one of this that's in Hampton, and so when I found this, it reminded me of that beautiful sculpture.
Also, your use of scale is so wonderful, and I love the way you've used this beautiful screen that's got the glass in it to divide the two rooms.
So that was important. I wanted
because you're still getting the light from both ends. It creates intimacy.
That's what I really
But there's
wanted, Alex. I
no-
wanted to give the apartment some rooms that felt like rooms, and they would feel different. And so,
Well, maybe that's why I like this loft so much, being not a loft person.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I like it so much, because you have created these beautiful rooms.
and so after having dinner, some evenings, coming back to here to have coffee, I always think the best. I mean, I grew up simple, so we sat at a table until the end of the evening. But I loved when I came to New York was really that there was a table conversation, but then the real sort of good guts of an evening happened after dinner, and you would be sitting around having coffee, and you got to have a conversation with somebody else that you maybe didn't speak to earlier. So
Well, I love that.
love that.
I love that too, and I also think it's so interesting to move, and I think it keeps the night sort of exciting.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
you and I both. We always say that. Don't make people sit at the table
No, and
too
people
long.
don't want to. People don't
give
want
them a
to.
nice cocktail hour, give them a wonderful 2-course dinner, and then take them
Cocktail,
another
45
place,
minutes.
and then give them another place for dessert. Am I a little on the long cocktail?
Cocktail 45 minutes.
Am I a long cocktail person? I know.
You like a good cocktail.
I do, and everybody's
You do like
late,
a
and I like to give
I
people
know.
time to get there.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I love the way you've used these wonderful, wonderful
Well,
rugs.
Alex, in the very beginning, I did not want rugs anywhere in the apartment, and then it kind of became a little bit, where I needed a little bit more of something here and there to be cozy. And I'll never forget. I remember watching Isaac Mizrahi on one of his shows earlier on, and it was in his apartment, and his dog had pooed on the carpet, and
It looks like the boys have had a little
said,
fun here.
He said, it's not a proper home until you have a poo-poo stain on your carpet somewhere. So anyhow, sadly, Winston has made.
But you can wash
himself-
these.
No, you cannot. No. It's
What?
hard. No. Yeah.
No?
They're a little hard. They're real
Yeah,
fur.
lambskin. You can wash these, David.
Well, I've not been able to figure that out. So
I think
would
you put them in the
love-
washer.
No.
Yes, David. I
Even
swear to God.
wetting them, they get all curly and they turn.
Oh, you can't then blow dry them?
It's not a wash and set.
And this is your second fireplace, so we have mirror image in your second bookcase, right?
Yes, exactly. And then so here you can see this is the
Male
male
version, totally.
To the.
So are they sold as a pair or individually?
No, he made them for me. I wanted them to
Just
be
beautiful.
Made a pair, and I didn't want the same. I wanted the same. And these are the Louis Kahn tables, so you can
yes.
see his very, his very modern bronze base with the.
Well, his bronze work, I think, is
Yeah,
so,
really beautiful.
his bronze
Yeah.
work is so beautiful. So again, David, your color palette. It's so sort of quiet and beautiful. What inspired you?
Well, you know, Alex, as I have said before, I'm, you know, light very sensitive and important to me, and it really began with the floor. And once I had the floor, the color of the floor to me then led everything else. You know, the walls. So often you go into a loft and they feel sterile because they've used
This does not feel sterile.
white that's too white. In fact, Benjamin Moore made this color for me. It's called pale oak. It's now actually one of their most successful colors.
Oh, I'm going to use it. I love it. You didn't tell me about that.
Yes, it is.
Pale oak.
Pale oak.
Oh,
you know,
it's so pretty.
And I have to say the other color is the accent color, which was from my friend Gayfrid for years. She had a color that she loved because it really looks like plaster, called Cloud White.
Oh, I use that.
And it's a plaster.
Cloud White.
It
I think it's
like
925.
plaster. It is.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's my
So
white. Yeah.
That's the two
Yeah,
colors.
yeah,
And then,
I love that.
You know, and honestly, then the next thing that kind of happened was I've always, I by no means am I a pianist, but having a piano is always very important to me. I am a novice at it. But this was a gift to the piano. This actually is a very special piano.
It's beautiful.
It is,
That's a grand. That's not a baby grand. That's a grand.
It's a concert. It's a D, and it belonged to Horowitz.
Beautiful.
And so then really started the next color for me, because it's still not a color, but in fact I think it is a color, was black. And I didn't want the piano to be, I'm not a concert pianist. I have many friends that are, and you've come and people have performed. But I didn't want it to be that I was showing off. So I felt the only way that I could then make the piano
balance it with the lacquer and the chinoiserie.
Then I would collect black things.
But you know what else? You know what else? You know, your love of bronze.
I love bronze.
The bronzes and the black work so well together.
Yeah.
And yes, you know, your paintings all have sort of a little bit of color to them, but they also have something
dark.
There's always black in them as well.
And by the way, it just always seems to work out that way. So it's not that it's intended.
You know what? If you have a focus, and I always say to clients, it's so important to keep a focus in what you're collecting and to have some kind of thought process.
Yeah.
And this is such a clear, wonderful thought process. I mean, we have everything from Chinese to contemporary, from 18th to 19th to 20th century things. Yeah. And you're spanning such an enormous time period. But in actuality, there's so much continuity and harmony. And I think that's what's so important. And really, that's what good decorating is about. It's about that there's a connection between all of these objects. And often it's because the person who is collecting is sophisticated and loves the thing so much that they make it all come together and work. Well, and I think that's so successful here.
You know, Alex, I've learned from you, because I did something that I would have never done. I don't think I've ever even shared this with you, because you would often, and you would take something and then, I mean, I'll just as an example, that amazing chinoiserie table that is in Samantha's living room, and you went in and you repainted over it because the color of their story was in there, but it seems as though it was, you know, from the century it was created. And but I remember years ago you talking about just doing those sorts of things and that it didn't destroy something. And honestly, I had these hall chairs that I love, these English hall chairs.
They're beautiful.
I have a bigger collection of them, but there was no way, I didn't want brown furniture in here. I had a lot of brown furniture in my past. I have an amazing collection of Regency things, but none of that worked here anymore. And I painted them.
And they look gorgeous.
And so, you know, I mean, that's what I did. And it really was your giving me that freedom to say that, you know, you didn't even really know you ever did that, but honestly, I never told you that. But you know, that's a big step out for me.
But you know what? It's about, there's so many beautiful things that somehow are antiques and vintage and that don't feel relevant.
Yeah.
These chairs in white feel so much more.
I think they're better than they were before.
Well, I mean, I love them in brown in the right context.
Yeah.
But most people don't understand brown furniture. But, you know, I love to chalky white things, and I love the idea of chalky whiting things. And it wasn't my idea to chalky white things. You know, chalky whiting really started in the 18th century when they would, you know, take those beautiful mirrors and they would paint them. And then, you know, Elsa de Wolfe was leading people out of that
I mean,
Victorian
William Kent,
decorating,
when you think of
and she
William
wanted
Kent.
to paint things white and refresh America and get rid of all that heavy Victorianism. So she did so much painted furniture. But again, if it's the difference between making something that's beautiful, relevant, and not using it, then one should paint it and use it rather than it becomes firewood and nobody wants it.
You know, it's funny because, and what gave me that, I had a pair of chairs that they were Irish, and they're, you know, the provenance of them was blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it's the old thing, it's priceless when you want to buy it and worthless when you want to sell it, right? So I bought these extraordinary, very priceless chairs when I bought them. And when I was, you know, when I was moving and doing this, I wanted to sell them back. I bought them from one of the big auction houses. And of course, they were like, oh, well, you know, that's not in vogue anymore. And that, you know, these priceless things now were basically good firewood if you didn't have enough. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm either going to never use them or throw, you know, they're going to sit around, and or I paint them white and they'll have some value to me. And
totally.
they, you know, when I
so
occasionally
agree with you.
And that's really where this kind of fell in.
And look, I've done it 100 times. I've done it once. I've done it 100 times where I've painted furniture. And again, you know, if you love it and you're going to use it,
yeah,
paint it rather than get rid of it and throw it away, because the value, it's not so relevant anymore in this brown antiques.
I think that's a very true thing.
You know, and also
Yeah.
sometimes, so sometimes I'll have something from a client that has sentimental value, and I'll look at it and say, well, it's a good shape, but just, I mean, the color of that orange wood is just like, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
And I'll say to the client, I've got a wonderful idea. I understand it's sentimental, and we'll paint it. And so then we take that piece of furniture and paint it. Either we do something decorative on it, or you know. So
and you give it a whole life.
you always have to be open-minded. And then here's this trunk that his grandfather made for his father that happens to be a chic shape, but just wasn't going to work in the decoration.
Yeah.
And now we've decorated it and painted and made it this magical trunk that sits under a beautiful console table.
Yeah.
And the memory
And
is
it's a treasure
there.
now.
And now it's a treasure, and it's just given a facelift.
Yeah.
So you gave these beautiful chairs a facelift and made them relevant. And well, that makes me happy. And I love, you know, what I always say again, antiques are green, and it's much better to take something old and repaint it than buy something that's made in China, that's not the same
absolutely.
quality level, and that's just not as good.
Yeah.
These chairs
I
are, look
agree.
at the carving. I mean,
Yeah.
they're so beautiful. That makes me happy. Well, that's a nice story. I love that. And so now, I love this little area here too.
Well, this is, you know, it's hard when there's just myself or one of the, you know, having dinner for two here. Sitting at the table is not so easy. So this is an area where I used to just sit and have dinner, you know, by myself with a friend.
So tell us about this beautiful table, and I love the way the stone is cut. And again, we're bringing back the black furniture into the room.
Yeah, and it's funny. This, I love. This was from Ann Slater.
Oh, she was the one with wonderful blue glasses, the socialite with the divine blue. The gray hair and the blue glasses, she was so divine.
Beyond chic.
And I think she lived on Fifth Avenue, a beautiful apartment. Yeah, she had great style.
This sat in her bedside. So it was a fun little
beautiful. I love it.
Piece.
I love it.
And I loved, actually, what I loved mostly was the
stone.
The stone and how
shape.
it was carved.
It looks like Janssen. It could be.
I mean, it could be. The feet possibly simple.
It's so
thin enough.
pretty.
Yeah.
So pretty.
And this, one of my favorite. I used to have a little apartment in Venice, and this was a real sweet little chair that I picked up from the gondola chair.
Right. So
years and years ago.
Beautiful. Yeah. And you've done everything all in the neutral colors, so it's about the shapes of things.
And and durable. I mean, this is ultra suede. It's not it's not. I mean, the kids get up and on it, and there you go.
Beautiful.
It's,
wash and wipe. And what about the beautiful painting?
Oh well, this actually, this is a piece that it's Morrow, Anthony Morrow, who was a protege of Holbein, and this is a new acquisition of mine.
Beautiful.
And I'm very happy.
And I love the way you've done them on the stands like that. I love these stands.
Well, I did, Alex, because, you know, these, though they seem to be walls, they're actually cabinets behind here.
Oh,
so,
storage.
You know,
We
so I
love
have to get in them. There's yes, storage, but and intentionally I didn't have a lot of wall space. So
Well, I use these all the time. I love these stands.
I do
and
too.
I also think they bring dimension into the room, and they also make the rooms not feel so flat.
I like that.
You know,
Well, thank
I
you.
love that. And it's sculptural. It
um,
turns a painting almost into a sculpture.
An object.
Yeah, and I love that. Love it. So beautiful. Really. Ah, and I love the way you did this, Dave. Tell us about the bedroom.
Well, again, you know, as I said, Alex,
how did you come up with this?
I'm claustrophobic, so I wanted, you know, I wanted to have light in the bedroom, and I didn't want to close off the walls. So I created these glass walls, the glass doors that actually do close for privacy. And then there's a series of shades that come down at night as well, so that can make this completely private. And, you know, I have never, ever shied from mirror. I think mirror is the most powerful tool.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I mean, the truth is, I think bad mirror that we've seen over time is because it's not low iron. You know, low iron glass it doesn't turn that greenish cast and stay. But you know, I wanted to give the illusion that the apartment continued on in a way that you know, I didn't. This is the smallest space of the whole apartment.
Yeah, but it feels so open, and it feels beautiful. And again, I think that mirror is such a wonderful tool to reflect light.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, I don't ever close these windows, even though we're in the back of the building. It's not so.
I don't sleep
easy.
with the blinds closed either. I find it depressing.
I
a little
can't.
bit.
Yeah,
I like to wake up to the light. I think it's cheery and
even
happy.
at night. It's,
Yeah.
In fact, it was very funny. There's a building across the way that this is an office building that they were doing construction in, and all of the people in the building here, they had these glaring lights, and it took us about a year to finally get the building to turn their work lights off at night because it was shining in. I think most of the other apartments, their kids' bedrooms are in these lines. And it was very funny. The other evening, I was lying in bed, and the lights. I thought, oh no, it's back on, and it was the moon. It was the moon the other evening, and it was just amazing. So
back to the beautiful. Yeah. I love your bedside tables.
There's a great little cabinet maker upstate named John Curry. I don't know if you've ever known him or used him, who copied them. He took the table in the front and took the leg and shape and just made me a simple.
It's like a little bit of a goat's foot, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
beautiful. Very pretty.
Very simple.
So beautiful. Really lovely.
Wedgwood and Sammy's foot.
Oh, I have one of those of Teddy.
Yeah.
I have Teddy's little paw print too. What was the name of the bear? You sent me there, right?
Yes.
It's a crematorium for dogs,
Clouds.
and they give clouds,
Yeah.
and we drove him up there, and they gave us that beautiful little here. Let me show you. Oh my God, it's so special. Beautiful little paw print.
That is
of Sammy. He was so sweet. I have the same of Ted.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I've wanted to have it made in bronze, but I'm afraid they would destroy
crack it.
so that I don't ever leave it. I don't ever touch it. So, and of course, you know, it has to have a television somewhere in the house, but I have a television here. But that's
and also you hardly see it.
Yeah. And I
now,
never turn it on, actually.
I know. And now, the dressing room.
Oh, are we gonna take that? Are we gonna take that leap?
Yes.
Oh God, let everybody know how crazy I really am.
Please.
Well,
beautiful.
As you know, Alex, you know, I like order and I like things. You know, I'm a creature of habit. I stick to a couple things. Once I've liked them, then they become just the only thing.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, and so I'm basically a white shirt guy. So the white shirts start.
Oh, another office too.
Yeah. Well, this is where I work mostly, and minus my.
Scott feels the same way you do about the white shirts.
They're all very different, by the way. They're not
Scott
the same.
likes white shirts.
They're
too.
not the same.
I like a checked shirt. I don't know why.
I have a couple that I maybe you know, I buy them thinking I'm going to wear them, and I have never worn them.
And you know what? But you know what?
They stay.
But you know what? If you think you're going to wear something, you usually don't. That's sort of what
entirely.
I've learned. Like, every time I buy a jacket that's not blue, okay, I wear it a tiny bit.
And then,
but now, when I travel with like 5 blue jackets, just different shapes, different things, because I'm always comfortable in a navy blue jacket.
I have
well, this
this
is
that
so
I
beautiful.
rarely wear. I wear it for you. I wore for you today.
Well, I'm so proud of you because you look so chic. Always.
But let me show you the best part.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Years ago, a very, very stylish man said to me, pick the thing that you want people to know of you about. And I happen to love pocket squares. And so over the years, I've collected hundreds and hundreds of pocket squares. And when I was building this, prior I had them in boxes, I had them in this and that. And when I did this closet, I said to Alan, there is only one thing that I care most about, and that I want drawers for my pocket squares.
Oh, show us.
Here is the beginning of my pocket squares.
Oh my God, so pretty.
Hold on.
Wow. Oh my God, it's like a candy store.
And then they move into cottons. Then you move into solids. So,
so beautiful. Cooper, you like those pocket squares?
What do you think, Coop?
Very chic, DM.
A little grand in some form, but
no, beautiful.
But yeah.
And personal. I love a personal story that you love pocket squares, and that's one of the things you collected, and that was an important thing when you got to do your apartment.
Probably the most.
That's so, and I think it brings up such a good point. Again, an apartment, a home, should always be unique and personal.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it special and sets it apart from other people's houses. Yeah. Those personal touches that are you. Yeah. And I love that. And I also love hearing that you love pocket squares. I always know you have a beautiful pocket square, but I didn't know you had a
Well,
whole
it's very funny,
collection
too,
of
and
that.
after a while, you get into only the few things that you
Well, of course, we all
having.
become creatures of habit.
So,
And the bathrooms?
Well, it'd be hard to capture this, but the bathroom is...
it's beautiful.
I wanted the bathroom really started off with these sinks, Alex, which are very unique. And fortunately, they do not make them any longer, and so therefore, hence the problem. But there is no plumbing that's visible.
Wow.
So they're hanging. The gooseneck is behind. It was a patented thing that the company. I discovered them in Italy.
It's just beautiful.
But they're they're a little bit of a maintenance issue, but nonetheless, what I loved about them was the simplicity. You didn't see any.
And I love how contemporary the bathroom is. It almost feels like Philippe Starkish.
I wanted separate water closets on both sides, and I'm a hopeful romantic, but I thought this could one day be an apartment for two.
Yeah, what do you mean a hopeful romantic? It'll happen. Please, you have to be romantic.
But, 2 showers and then separate sinks and water closets. Yeah, what was really incredible.
And again, it feels a little open, David, because the shower you can walk through is so nice.
And I didn't want it to be, I didn't want it to be closed again. And the use of the mirror, I think I had a client many years ago, and she was an artist, which was incredible. And she had no choice about where her wedding was going to be. It was going to be at the Pierre. And she called me and she said, I'm okay to have it at the Pierre. She said, I know I have to. She said, but the only thing, David, is I don't like that gray and I don't like those chandeliers. Well, that's what the Pierre was about.
That gray room with those
and
chandeliers.
She's an artist. And I thought about it for a while, and I called her back up and I said, I would like to propose to you. I have a theory that when you don't want to see something, do more of it. Because the more you do, the less you will see. It will become the neutral. I said, so not only are we going to keep the gray, we're going to make everything gray. The tablecloths, the chairs, the carpeting, everything will be gray. And we're going to take the chandeliers and we're going to add these incredible trees that will be lights like the chandeliers through the chandeliers. And the chandeliers will be like the magic fireflies. And she got it, and it was incredible. And I said, the only other thing I hope you will agree is no flowers. So I had a bride that didn't like gray, didn't like the chandeliers, and ended up with all gray, more of the chandeliers, and no flowers.
But it was beautiful.
And it was the most extraordinary one. And she was beyond thrilled because she understood the sense of it. So, with mirror, I always think of mirror in the same way. When you put more of it, it's less. It doesn't become more, it becomes less.
And again, it brings light.
Yeah.
So there's an incredible photograph of Tina Chow and Paloma Picasso getting ready. And they're in this sort of mirrored room, and this room reminds me of it. It's something from the 70s, and I love that this feels like sort of a wonderful moment from the 70s.
Well, do you remember there was I remember this photograph of a bathroom that Valerian Raybar did.
Oh,
that bathroom.
the best.
That
so
bathroom
chic.
was
The steel one that he
Yes.
did, was it the steel
With
one?
mirror.
So that was done for Sal Schlumberger when she was married and lived in that beautiful, beautiful house in Paris. I love that.
it was just like
The steel, with the floating tub that was made out of
Yeah.
stainless steel.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm obsessed with that bathroom.
Yeah.
But this feels more modern than that, and I love it, and it feels just so chic. I think we
heated floors. He loves
and I think we've tired them out, the two of them. They're having
love the heated
It's
floors.
too much of a party. Oh my God. Okay, beautiful. So lovely, David.
Wow. So a powder room for me, I've always found it should be the jewel of the apartment. It's sort of that little hidden treasure that you discover in your own little private way when you're in someone's home. And I wanted that really to be the same here. And I found this very, very beautiful chest at Mallet in London. And I had it then re-outfitted, which I probably destroyed it in some form, but I just loved how simple it was. And I had this black stone top made. I found this octagonal mirror, and I wanted the shape to be a uniquely different shape, and so then I mirrored the same octagonal cut into the stone. But the best part, Alex, we share this passion of love of Louis Kahn, and this is probably one of Louis Kahn's greatest pieces. It's his called Venus, and it really it shouldn't probably be in one's powder room, but I thought this was where she was most special, and I love her here. But the best part about the bathroom that I God is in every detail. I needed a black toilet and black toilet paper, because if there was white toilet paper in here, it would absolutely be unsightly. So, every little detail does kind of count, and it's always kind of a funny thing. People are like, where did you find it?
David, these are incredible. Tell us
Well,
about
earlier,
these.
Alex and I was talking about the horses up front. So when in these tombs, they many of these tombs, they were wealthy men, and they were the merchants that traveled the Silk Road.
So it was the concept sort of like of the Egyptians, the way they buried themselves.
Exactly, yes,
with,
exactly.
with furniture and
Yeah.
objects and things for
The
the
richest,
afterlife.
The richest would have their own likeness in here because it was a bit of their narcissism of sorts. And this would have been the man who was in the tomb. And what was incredible about these, I mean, when I purchased these, the gentleman who used to help to take care of them was the curator at the Met. And he said, even the Met does not have an example as fine as this particular one is. And they've been x-rayed, and this one has never been broken in any way, as I say, on knock on wood. But, and many of them all have been over time. But what tells you who they were and how rich they were by the things that were on, it's called a rake, and this happens to be a separate piece. So this particular man wanted this to be incredibly complex because it could show how much he could have afforded to have done. And so the seat that he's sitting on is separate, and then he himself is riding on, but you can see he's on these carpets. He has oils, which were very, very, very expensive.
Chinese.
Yes.
But he's on a camel.
Yes, because they traveled the Silk Road on camels.
Oh, okay. It was for the Silk Road.
Yes,
That's
these were merchants. This is how they were. That's how they had
because they
obtained their
didn't have
wealth.
camels in China, right? These were camels. Camels are indigenous to Africa and India, aren't
Well,
they?
but they would have made their way through.
Okay.
That's how they would have traveled to carry their goods. And
have you ever been on a
missing,
camel?
I have.
I hated it. I went to Egypt.
It's a pretty easy ride.
I didn't like that at all. Everybody got off of the camel. I was like, get me off this thing.
Well, they smell and they spit.
They spit. They're not
spit.
friendly, and they're
not.
dirty animals.
Yeah, they're not. They're not so good. But they would have had what he would have
And he
had.
doesn't look particularly friendly.
He would have had a ring in his nose, and then they would have had leather straps, which obviously over the time.
So like a harness.
Yeah. But
A bit, maybe, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful though.
So-
And again, I love the way you've made these beautiful pedestals that disappear.
Yeah, again. So come on in the kitchen.
So show us the kitchen. See the kitchen now.
Come
The
on.
apartment's so beautiful.
I'll show you the kitchen. You know, Alex, when I did the kitchen, you know, I cook a lot, and I love to entertain, but I wanted a kitchen that was also, when it wasn't being used, I wanted it to be architecturally as pretty as the rest of the apartment. And
Well, it is. You did it.
well, thank you. I wanted no hardware. I wanted it to be very modern. And so I started off, and you know, also I wanted the cabinetry. You know, cabinetry gets used hard, and I wanted something that was going to be durable and yet also not have a lot of detail.
So
all of this,
what's it made of?
It's all Corian. It is solid. Every cabinet is solid Corian.
So interesting. Beautiful.
And I loved it because you can also, you want to touch it. You know, it has this feeling. So the countertops are Corian. Sinks inside were made as well. I separated this kitchen. You know, for many years I had a partner who was Orthodox. I actually kept a kosher home, and so I took that in theory and created this kitchen so that it could in fact actually be a kosher home should it need be. There's refrigerators. Refrigerators are all here.
Show us the refrigerator.
So the refrigerators are, you know, here, left and right throughout.
Wonderful.
With you know, with the freezer
Drawers, right?
Freezer drawers below. I didn't want to see, you know, I didn't want to see the microwaves. I didn't want to see toasters. So all of these things are in concealed things that just come out when you should need them. And then, but the beautiful part of this for me was I wanted a range that was as close to industrial capacity as could be. And many use Wolf or they use Viking.
This is beautiful.
This is called Ilvi, and this is it's Italian. It is the highest because of the system. If you can see that it's really quite interesting because there are a group of jets that are inside, and then through a center ring that it allows the heat to become even hotter than typically what could be in.
What's the name of the brand again?
Ilvi. I-L-V-E.
Italian.
Italian. And
Beautiful.
so I have a grill, 6 full burners. This, which I really, really love,
Well, that's amazing. What's
it's for
that?
poaching and for deglazing. So when you have a large roaster and you've taken out whether it's your roast or chickens, and you want to deglaze to get a beautiful jus, this lets it heat evenly.
Wonderful. So beautiful.
And it's also, I think, beautiful.
Physically.
It was one of the very first ones to be.
I love it.
Be here, but
Beautiful. And where's
yeah.
the dishwasher?
2 of them, left and right.
Great.
So again, and so when
So
I'm having help,
show us some of your beautiful dishes. I know you.
Oh.
I know you love dishes like I do.
Well,
can you show us some pretty dishes? It'll be fun. Just give everybody a little sneak peek behind the scenes at David Monn's beautiful
actually, you know,
dishes.
Alex, and I tell you when I set the apartment up, I also wanted the apartment to be that I could do a seated dinner. The doors obviously close here.
Right,
and
right.
they're
Yeah, I've seen that
side
before.
swinging.
Right.
But that also it could be a buffet. So we could set the buffet up on the table and people walk through in and out, and it'd be also very pretty because you're great at buffets. But you know, I have these wonderful old French porcelain, which
so
we love.
pretty. So pretty.
Probably need my stool to get a little higher. You know, Alex, I've loved collecting all of these old
Oh, is that basalt?
basalt
Love,
teapots.
love,
So if
love.
you know, when you're coming, we're gonna have tea on all kinds of.
These are beautiful.
Pick your teapot. I actually have.
So it's Wedgwood. It's all Wedgwood.
Yeah, they're all Wedgwood.
Beautiful.
Simple gold.
Which you
simple.
always need, which you
well,
always
we
need.
always need.
You always need a little gold.
Always need a little simple.
Beautiful.
A new set that I've actually just got because I wanted something very contemporary, but very simple. Are these just, I had these made in simple gray with a gold band.
So
very,
pretty.
not such pretty things shown here.
So pretty. Love that. David has the most beautiful house in Florida that I've been lucky enough to have dinner at.
Well,
He threw a beautiful dinner for me, and it was so much fun. So beautiful.
oh, I love these.
Yeah, these are beautiful.
octagon.
These are so pretty.
Very pretty.
So pretty.
You know, I've always felt that I didn't want things to be too formal here, too decorated, you know.
It's beautiful.
So I've kept it very, because when you're in the table, yeah, push buttons, push latches, not always the.
Oh my God, lunch, my favorite sandwiches
And so
from William
I made
Pole.
I didn't make you, but I always say if you don't have the time, make sure you know where to get the right time from.
You know,
William Pole.
And you know, again, you know William Pole, right? Jackie Onassis' favorite. And it was my mother's favorite, and that's who got me addicted to William Pole.
I mean,
the
this
best
is
tea
You
sandwiches.
need a 12-step program to get off these things.
Potato chips with the
The
dip.
chips and the watercress dip.
I think
so.
we had, did we have William Pole at Chris's wedding? I know we had William Pole somewhere else. I don't know, but anyway, we love William Pole. We can never
We
get enough
love
William Pole.
Chicken salad with the bacon. I mean, I could.
They're
live
on
forever
75th and Lex, and it is just the best gourmet shop.
And we hope
it's
it
a
never
family.
goes
Well,
out of
it's a family
business.
business, and
Yeah.
it's now another relative has come in and
Yeah.
is helping out, and it's amazing. And
Yeah.
actually, the grandmother lived in my office building.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, Bill got my brother-in-law, who's in the real estate business. Bill Rudin got her an apartment in the building, and so she lived in my office building. So I would see Mrs. Pole when her son visiting her and taking her out for a walk, and she was so cute. And I always said the best sandwiches, the best dips in the world,
You know,
and Greeks too. You know that, right?
I did not know that.
Yes.
Well, it explains.
They're
there
Greek.
you go.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
all
yeah, yeah,
explains
yeah.
it
I mean, I
all.
think there's both, but there's definitely Greek blood in there. And that's why they make the tarma and all the yummy Greek things and the spanakopita. And the,
Oh, that's
yeah,
right. And I did not know. And now that makes perfect sense.
delicious.
Huh. Wow. Well, should we have a sandwich?
Yes, let's. That I always have this theory that, you know, in life you should always make your home the most magical place because
Entirely.
there's always two options. Either you're stuck there and you can't afford to do better, so thank God you did what you did, or you have this wonderful fortune to move on.
Yeah.
And that, you know what, you can move on and do better or do something else, and that's okay too. So your home is so, when you're there, you should truly enjoy it, and you should truly really make it a place that you're comfortable and you love.
Absolutely. You know, Alex, I always come back to,
No
you know,
growling.
there is in the world
No
that we're
growling.
in, and the world is you know, I used to listen to my grandmother say, "Oh, the world's going to hell in a handbasket," and think, "Oh, she's just old." Well, I'm kind of saying it now, but I'm not so sure. But you know, it is true in that so much of the world is out of our control,
Right.
and we have to
Totally.
be in the world. It
Totally.
doesn't matter what state we are in, you know, and probably, you know, and it's probably us again, you know, not probably, it is without question why I'm so passionate about light, because our home, you know, I tell all of my clients, I tell everybody who works for me, how we feel is who we are. You know, if you have a cold, you're cold.
Right,
You know?
right.
And when you're feeling happy or you're feeling good, that's who you are. That's who you bring.
right.
And the thing that you have very little control over most of any of the things in our outside world, with the exception of our inner world. And that's why it's so important. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's 200 square feet or 2,000
Oh,
square
totally.
feet. It really matters.
Surround
Have
yourself
you-
with beauty,
have you
and
made
you
it
will
beautiful?
feel.
Better.
I say beauty soothes the soul.
Absolutely, Alex. That's why. Well, we so get that, and we want others to know that. I mean, it is, you know, when I talk about often when I was young, I lived with my sisters. My two sisters lived in, you know, for a period of their time, they lived in public housing, and I will never forget what was so horrible about it, because the windows were small and they had fluorescent lights in them. And, you know, the people, we're blessed, you know, and we really are, and I don't ever take that for granted.
agree
not
with you.
for a single
I
day.
so agree with you.
And we can make choices, but the people that can't make choices, and the choices that other people make for them, especially, more importantly, with their homes, is devastating. It's so important.
And it's a place you wake up in, and you
all
know,
of it.
it makes
It
you feel so different.
energizes
if you don't-
us or it
Yes.
depresses us.
Yeah. So I love all your glasses, David.
Oh.
Beautiful collection.
Well, you know, Alex, I like to be able to see what it is and keeping it simple. But these were just, again, touch latches, stainless steel doors.
So pretty.
Nason Moretti made these for me years ago.
Beautiful.
Just very, very simple. It was actually a very modern, a shape that you remember Murray Moss?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, had a version of that, and I had them make me another little version, and here is the same sort of thing.
Dessert bowls.
Things.
So pretty.
Yeah. And people always say to me, "I thought you don't drink." I said, "I don't. I never have." But you have to be hospitable.
Of course you do. You've got everything you need here. All the best tequila,
Ice maker,
Scotch whiskey, beautiful.
And and then
Cocktail
this is
napkins.
linens. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Very simple.
Our beautiful Jane Scott napkins.
We love Jane Scott.
We love Jane Scott, our friend.
We
yes.
love Jane Scott.
She monogrammed those beautiful napkins as a
They're
present
my
to you.
favorites.
I love them.
So, and that's it.
Okay, well, that was fun. Such a fun day together. Oh my God, the best. Divine. Thank you. So fun to be
So
together.
happy to have you here.
And I think our dogs maybe will sleep well tonight.
I hope so. It's like the child that you want to give them the workout. Oh, look at them. They're going back and forth like it's
Zoomies. Having the time of their lives.
as they should.
Well, it was the best day. And the yummiest pole sandwich. It's so great being together.
Thank
And
you.
it's really, really fun.
I love you.
So,
Yeah.
mwah. Hi, I'm Alex Papachristidis, and we're here for Homeworthy. Today we are visiting Kate and Alex Brodsky and their 3 beautiful daughters in their amazing house in East Hampton. Kate is a great friend, and I love her decorating and her sensibility. She owns a beautiful shop in Manhattan called KRB, where she sells beautiful things for the home. I'm a customer, and we're friends. Here we are visiting her incredible house, which she built with Boris and Sharon. She actually took an old house, renovated it, and created these incredible interiors. She's got a great sense of style, and she is the daughter of the legendary decorator Suzanne Reinstein. So Kate has a great sense of history in the past, but she makes it fresh and new in her own individual way, and that's why I love this house so much.
Well, hello, Alex.
Hi, darling.
Come on in.
Thank you so much for having us in your beautiful
We're
home.
thrilled to have you here, and hello, Cooper.
I'm so excited to be here, and thank God the weather paid off for us. It's a
We
beautiful
really
sunny day.
lucked
I was
out,
so
didn't
worried we
we?
wouldn't get to see your beautiful garden, and I'm so excited
Well,
that we get to
come
do
on
that.
in. We'll see
Thank
it
you,
all.
sweetheart. So
Please,
nice
just
to be.
put your things right down there on
Thank
the
you,
chair.
darling. Thank you, and I'll just put Cooper's leash in the bag. Oh, everything looks so beautiful, Kate.
Thank you.
Just so pretty.
Nothing like the lushness of summer, right?
Oh my God, it's heaven, really. And
Right?
it's so nice to be out here and to be together. It's just
I know,
what a
I
wonderful
love
day.
it. It's really a treat.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Alex Papachristidis, and this is the amazing Kate Brodsky, and we are in their beautiful home in East Hampton.
Thank you.
So it was so interesting because I was trying to think, like, how do we know each other, really?
And I think that it is sort of initially our friendship started because of my shop, KRB, but it really grew and blossomed because of our mutual dear friend, Christopher Spitzmiller.
Which, you know, again, and I became friends with Chris really because I loved his lamps and I used them so
Yes.
much, and then we became
Yes.
close friends, and it's like the same thing with you. So tell us the story of the house and how this all happened and how we got here.
So my husband grew up coming out to East Hampton in the summer, and his parents still have a house very nearby. And we had kind of looked on and off for a while, and nothing was quite right. And I was about 6 months pregnant with our 3rd daughter, and we saw this house, and it needed some love. It didn't have a foundation. It was a wonderful 1901 shingle house. It had this quirky layout that I thought was great.
It's
where
fabulous.
it's only
I mean,
23 feet wide.
It's fabulous. It's fabulous. I get it.
And all these things, and I kind of loved it all, but it was a project. And I turned to Alex and I was like, well, if you ever want a house in East Hampton, I guess this is it. He was like, okay, done. And he made it happen very quickly because I think he was worried I was going to change my mind.
So here we are in your entrance hall.
Well, that's sort of the funny thing about this house. You walk in directly into the living room. And as you know, that's kind of a no-no.
Well,
or you don't do it. Like you want a place to land.
Well, you know what? It's so funny that you say that because I've never noticed that every time I've been here. And I think you've done that so successfully, Kate, because I don't feel that I walk into the living room. I guess the sofa with its back to us helps.
Yes, for sure.
The
I
no
think
carpet,
the big
yeah.
table really helps. It's a Jacobean style table, and my grandmother had actually picked it out for my parents when they got married, and they had it. It was their dining table, it was their library table, and it had been in the house for a long time, and I had deep sentimental attachment to it, and I was so excited when my mother offered it to me because we'd been sitting around going, this space needs a big table, and I love it here, stacked high with books, with this big dramatic wire urn full of orchids, which is great for the summer, and in the winter I often put like a fern or some other type of plant that I try not to kill, but it's fun to stack with books and other treasures we find. Sometimes you'll find dog leashes.
Are these
here.
shells you all found on the beach?
They're shells we found on the beach.
That's so sweet. I love that.
The girls found. And
that's great.
Just a few to keep because, you know, we are at the beach.
No, and it makes it a home and it makes it
Totally.
personal. I love the scale, the way you've used that big orchid. And again, I just think it's so great. Didn't you say to me once that your grandmother had a shop and was a decorator?
Yes, my mother's mother, Mimi, was a decorator and had
Was
a
this
shop.
her table?
She purchased it for them. It was never hers personally, but she picked it out.
And she had a shop.
Yep.
So we're 3 generations
Shopkeeping.
of grandmother, daughter, and granddaughter.
I know.
And everybody's a shopkeeper. Is that
Everyone's a
crazy? So it's in your
shopkeeper. I
blood.
mean, exactly.
That was meant to be.
I love retail. What can I say?
Yeah, well, I always say to you, I'm a frustrated shopkeeper, and I would love it. But then I also look at what you do, and I'm like, you know what? Being a decorator's plenty.
It's a lot. I get it.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
But this gave us the chance to to create a moment so you feel like you have an entry and you have this moment.
You did it
come in.
so successfully because I probably would have gotten to this house and been like, oh my God, I can't walk into the living room. And you made it work. And what about the floor? The floor is so pretty.
So when we were trying to figure out what to do with the floors, they were this kind of ugly orange color, and I didn't like that.
Oh, you mean like that cherry wood?
Yeah.
That's kind of orangey, and I hate that.
Exactly, and I kind of...
So the floors you didn't change?
We didn't change out the floors, and so we thought about it, but I thought, I really love a painted floor, so instead we thought, let's an opportunity to paint on the floors.
I love that the floors are painted.
It's great, it's easy with the sand and the kids and all that kind of stuff, and just the people coming in and out. It's much more durable than people think. And I've asked my painter...
I love a painted floor. I'm totally...
Yes.
I agree with you. I agree. It's great. And the thing that I also like about it is it's so easy to mix all the different woods then in the furniture, and it doesn't become so woody. And with this wood table on a wood floor...
It lets me have a lot of brown furniture.
Yeah, which I love. And, you know, brown furniture's, you know, so underused nowadays.
Totally. It totally is. And but it's grounding and charming and lovely and real.
And it feels country.
Yeah.
You know, the painted floors to me feel so fresh and country, and I just think it's very successful the way you've done this.
Well, thank you. We coming over here, there were no rugs anywhere, and then I found this rug in London.
I'm crazy about it, Kate.
And
the
at
colors
Battersea
are what's
Fair
up.
at Joshua Lumley, and I fell in love with it. I was like, this is actually the perfect rug for here.
It's beautiful, and the colors are fresh.
I love the chintz. So hollyhock chintz had always been one of my favorites, and I have what I call...
Is this your mom's?
It's not. It's that famous Lee Joffa chintz called hollyhock, and I had it in my fantasy file. I joke I have a fantasy file of fabrics that I've been falling in love with, or pieces of furniture.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, and so I pulled it out, and my mother goes, "You're gonna need chintz because you got dirty kids, and I know you're getting another dog."
It wears like iron.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it wears like iron.
It's fantastic, and the glaze is so helpful. brush that dirt and sand right off.
And we're also from the same school. You believe in living in your house like I do. You know,
You have to live in your house.
I just think that people who
I'm
don't,
not- what
I
are you
don't
saving it
understand
for?
that. Yeah, what are you saving it for?
Yeah.
And like your kids and your dog should be in your living room.
Yep.
I would say it's called your living room because you're meant to live in it.
100%.
You know, and I love that
100%.
you're also like that. And also
sure.
you use all your best things and you enjoy everything.
You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's definitely how I was raised.
Right.
It's kind of like you do the best for family because they're the people you love the most.
Exactly.
It's a very comfortable room. These came from my parents' house. That was in my parents'
And
house.
you just
growing
slip
up.
covered these, right? Are
I
they
slip
covered?
covered.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
I
they're
love.
slip covered.
Yeah, I like that too. It also makes them feel a little less formal, right? The slip cover just feels yummy and,
Yes, and
country. Yeah.
Totally. And I had this like in my fantasy file, it was like I want a club fender. So we made a big old club fender,
Which is
and
great.
it's fun for kids.
In that
they love
orange,
it.
I love it. It's
Which
like
is-
that kind of corally, it's so pretty, so great.
The racetrack ottoman and the Edwardian style armchair were both pieces from my mother's late store, Hollyhock. She produced an enormous amount of furniture, and we are going to start producing it again.
Oh, that's great.
That is for our 2025.
Oh, I love that. So you're going to start making upholstery and things?
That is the hope. I mean,
I think that's so
we're
great.
going to start really, really small. But I want to bring back these special shapes that I feel like she was really well known for and had a following for.
And it's also then that's like it's also your mom's and it's bringing your mom back.
It feels good.
I love it.
it.
I love that. I like
You know?
I loved my mother so much and she was such an inspiration to me too.
I know.
And,
We share
we're
that.
from the same school and I think it's so important and so great. You know, without our mothers, we wouldn't be the people we are today.
You preach into the choir.
Right. And I love the way you've done these big ferns on pedestals
you.
over here. This
I have
is so.
a
I
major
love that.
pedestal problem where I can't seem to find I buy pedestals and one-off chairs, you know, and I can't stop. And I love these. I want to say these are from Kim Faison.
They're just great.
I bought them at the Nashville Antique Show a couple of years ago, and I love them. And in the winter, I'll usually do a begonia that I've brought in from outside.
Love.
But in the summer, I try and keep the ferns alive for as long as possible.
I know, they're beautiful. They look great. They look great. And also, as I always say, the plants sort of make the room feel lived in and cozy and
Totally.
homey, right?
100%.
Tell me about the art over the mantle. What's that?
This is a Robert Mangold print. I love contemporary art. I am not super knowledgeable about it, but I have a dear friend of mine, Courtney Daniel Schaefer, who I always say is my unofficial art advisor, and she helped us choose this piece. And I think that the contemporary aspect of it is nice foil to all my brown furniture and my chintz and all these things.
It feels youthful. It feels youthful and
Yeah,
fresh.
and it's good. And I do actually light this many candles. When we like come in after dinner, if it's already dark, we'll light them all, and it is fabulous.
Well, I love that because you've just used these brass candlesticks, but they look modern and fresh and young in the way that you use things.
It's
And
been
I
fun
always
to
say to
collect
clients,
them.
well, you know, you understand that, and I think that's such a nice thing that antiques can still look fresh
Totally.
and stylish,
Totally.
used in a unique way. I love that tablescape over there. I love the way you've done these little. Tell me, that's so chic.
My mother died in March of 2023,
Right.
And she had this wonderful house in Montecito, and I sold it, but I've been working on incorporating more of the pieces into my life and upgrading things. And this early 18th century table was one of the pieces that came from Montecito. And I loved it. I love the scale of it. I think it looks great here, and I love having it in my life. I love having her pieces take on another life in my family's life.
It's also so nice for your girls because then they
wonderful.
have their grandmother's things that
Totally.
they're living with.
I know, we're all, for better or for worse, at least my middle child is as deeply sentimental as I am. So it's nice for us to have them.
Do you think any of the girls have your shop decorating home bug
I
thing?
think maybe the middle, although she could really do anything, and maybe possibly the youngest. My oldest could if she wanted, but she's always like, Mommy, you hung one picture in my room. I don't need any more pictures. And I'm like, well, I got like 6 more that I'm about to pull out.
She's a minimalist?
She's a minimalist.
Oh my God, that's
I know,
not good for
isn't
you and me.
It's really funny. She's like, whoa, there's already one color in this room.
And how about Alex? How involved is he in the
He
decorating?
has opinions. I would say he's most opinionated about color.
Okay.
He likes clear, bright, fresh color. I mean, left to my own devices, everything would be like dirty green and like weird and all that
interesting.
kind of stuff.
Because I don't see that as being you at all. So that's where you compromise.
That kind of is, and I do love.
Because
all
I
the
love
bright
your
color.
color sense, and I thought it was all you, but it's him too.
It is. I mean, it is, but it's all sort of like I think he brings out a specific part of it, but it's good. It's like I have a client to work with. If it was just me, I would never make any decisions.
You have to be that way. Look, I always ask Scott's opinion, and I'm always interested to hear, and I think that's important. I love the geranium.
The geraniums,
That's
the tortured
great.
geraniums.
I love it.
I love them. This I started doing 5 or 6 years ago. Learning to become a gardener has been humbling. Or learning how to, and I'm very much still learning, but the geraniums are somewhat forgiving, and I like it when they get all tortured like this. And this happens because they reach for the light. But they make me happy, and they come, I have a lot of them outside, and they come in during the winter. Which has been really fun. This is another pedestal because I have an addiction to pedestals. And this is an example of the leach bowl, the KRB leach bowl that we make. I had a 19th century, I collect 19th century American glass. And I bought a leach bowl that was this big and it was clear. And I absolutely loved it. And then I thought, what if we did it in colors? And so we started.
Is this black? It's glass?
It's glass. Yeah, it's glass. And then we've mostly done them in translucent glass, and we just started doing them in opaque glass. And this is the moss green.
I love them.
And naturally, I had to take one home. But they're wonderful. They're great for giant arrangements like this. I have another one in the dining room I'll show you that is filled with pokeweed.
Love it.
And when they're empty, I like them empty too. They're very sculptural.
They're beautiful.
And I think they're strong, and they're like, that's something that could, if I didn't have that wire, that wire urn there, that could easily hold the space, which is what I like.
They're great looking. Love it. I love it. And I love all your needlepoint pillows. So, did you make those?
I made the needlepoint pillows because I've always had like old lady crafts. That's always been my thing. So I have done this pillow, and I did this pillow and that pillow over there, and I do other smaller things.
I love that.
And lots of like half-finished Christmas stockings for my children that never got finished.
I love that. I
pillows
love
are
that. I
easier.
love that you're so craftsy. And needlepointing, I almost wanted to learn needlepoint. Is it
You
hard?
should. No,
Is it hard
it's
to
fabulous.
learn?
It's so relaxing.
Well, when you're
kidding
sitting
me?
on an airplane, or you're waiting in the airport,
No, that's it. That's what I'm
or
saying,
you're on your way somewhere.
Or you're like jury duty.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Which
it's
we
very
all have to do
rhythmic
those things.
and meditative, and that's what appeals to me about it. It's like a nice way to like bring your heart rate down, but it's wonderful.
I don't really know when you find the time to do that, but okay.
Interstitial spaces. Like when I'm watching family movies with my children, and I'm like, I didn't pick this movie. Cool. I'm like, I'm gonna need a point. The house is from 1901. It's like 1901 open plan. In that the rooms really flow into each other, and it works really well for us both in the summer and the winter. We come out here a lot in the winter with our kids. It's a great way to have like forced family time. And I'll light a fire early in the morning and just keep it going all day, and the kids will read, and we'll play Scrabble. And
so this is a year-round house to you,
it's a year-round
our house is to
yeah,
us.
We
like it out. I love it out here in the winter, and I love it off season, right? I think
Me too.
And I mean, this season, it's the traffic and the congestion. It's
been a lot.
It's crazy. So it's really nice to come here and enjoy it. So tell us. So
we found this house,
right.
and we knew it needed a new foundation. It had some rotting posts holding it up, and so I called Dick Voorhees and James Sharon, and I said, "Come see this house we bought with no foundation." And they were like, "Okay," but it was wonderful because we'd already worked together, so they kind of already knew. I don't want to say what I cared about, but kind of how I like to work. I like things to feel intentional. I wanted to save the best parts of this house, which I thought were the flow that already existed. And
so are the rooms the same size?
Everything is the same.
Okay.
We did not add anywhere.
Oh, so this is the house.
This is the house with the layout. As far as the actual building envelope, we didn't add anything. So, and this was really the layer of the room.
It, Kate.
No.
You detailed it, and
for
you changed
sure.
the interior. I mean, it's so good looking, and so, but there is a naturalness to it that is if
Yes.
it's always been here.
Totally, and that was the goal, was to make it, to preserve the best of what the house felt like while making it work for a family with 3 children and now 2 dogs and lots of cousins. And
Do you think you get that from your mother, your sort of sense of classicism and your sense of things being, kept, preserving, original, and kind of not? Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in an old house. I grew up in an old house. I grew up surrounded by antiques. It was just always assumed that, get an old house.
Right.
So it doesn't, the issues that arise with old houses, not that there aren't issues, there are many. I was just sort of,
with new houses.
I was just trained to think that was normal. Like, oh yeah, well, yep. Those weighted windows, we'll have to replace them or fix the pulley system and the thing. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, but what was wonderful about this and what was wonderful about working with Dick and James is having them help us figure it out. And it's where we did change things, we rearranged some of the bathrooms upstairs, making it feel like it was intentional and it had been done with purpose. And I love working with them. They make me so happy.
I think they're so talented, and I think they really have such a great sense of style. So, Kate, this is the room where you spend most of your time as a family, right?
We spend a lot of time as a family here. Most nights you can find Alex and myself here. Alex likes that corner for his drink. He can see everything. He can see the dogs. I intend to end up somewhere in the middle or over at the puzzle table, and the girls end up in between with the dogs. And
I love the size of this sofa.
It's a wonderful size. So when we moved in, I was like, is it crazy to just do one long sofa? Because I kept trying all these permutations of floor plans. And I just want to tell you, whenever I would ask my mother's opinion, she would be like, well, did you draw it in plan? And I was like, no, because I'm not good at that. But I would tape it out and try and figure it out. And then I called my old boss, Jeffrey Bill Huber. And I was like,
I didn't know you worked for Jeff?
He was my first job out of college.
What did you do there?
I was his personal assistant for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was a wonderful
I
experience.
never knew that. Again,
Yeah.
see, we learn new things about each other all the time.
Right? But I asked Jeffrey, I was like, how do I make this not crazy? Because I asked my mother and she's like, I don't know what to tell you. I've never made a 17-foot long sofa. And he gave me great advice, and it had a lot to do with lowering the platform of the sofa a little bit, of this part, and then increasing the depth of the cushions. And it was brilliant because I don't think they're things that you notice, but they make it look not crazy.
Okay.
I mean, or I think they make it look...
No, it doesn't look crazy at all.
It tweaked the proportion just enough, so I'm eternally grateful to Jeffrey for that. But it's really cozy. It's cozy in the winter. It's full of sun in the winter.
Yeah, see, I love the windows on 3 sides. I mean, that's probably what draws you into the room so much.
Totally.
The natural light, yes.
The awnings come down in the winter, so there's even more light. It's nice because it has something for everyone. If whoever's not into it can do the puzzle.
Love the puzzles. We do puzzles on our screened-in porch. We love a puzzle in the winter, and I love that.
Yeah, we love it. We also, sometimes the puzzle moves and we do Scrabble and things like that, but it gets a little competitive. So
I love that. A New Yorker puzzle, right?
Yeah,
that's great.
of a bookstore.
My mother, that was her favorite, was the New Yorker magazine. My mother loved that. It was her favorite.
Well, I'm lucky also because one of my brother-in-laws loves puzzles too, so we trade puzzles.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so I'll usually at the end of the summer I'll drop a stack off for him, or he'll drop some off for me, which is
okay.
kind of nice.
I love to know that you love puzzles. And of course, a proper dog bed.
A proper dog bed.
For the kids to take a nap.
For the dogs to fight over. I think one of the things that I really thought about when we were doing this house is that how the rooms really do flow into each other. And as much as I love color, the eye also needs a place to rest.
Right.
So the funny thing that happens is people perceive this house as being wildly packed with color, but it's really the floors.
Right.
So this room has...
Well, you have everything's sort of one color in here. I mean, it's all pink. I mean, there's not a lot of different colors.
And I have to tell you, the walls and the ceiling are onyx white. Yeah. And it's a lot of it is the reflection of the Bombay red check on the floor. And then Chris Pearson did this floor. He did a beautiful job.
I love the check floor.
It's great. Also, he was like, if I tweak the diamonds slightly, I can make them fit perfectly. I was like, do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a lot of math. I can't do that. But
we
I
do
love
that.
that you-
We do that too. Yeah.
See, but I'm not a designer, so I
Right,
don't know. I was like, that's
Well,
so genius.
But sweetheart, you work with people who understand
Yes.
it. Look, even for designers, we can't think everything through ourselves. There's so many bloody details.
Yeah.
You need to work with good quality people who know what they're doing,
Yes.
who are going to stop that. I'm doing a
Yes.
job right now on a porch, and I said, we cannot have those little tiles. So we've got to get the proportion of things right so that you get a half tile with a border so that it
Yep.
works. It's all about, because again, we are classicists at
Yes.
heart, and we care about the way everything
I get it,
ends
yeah.
and the detail of how things are, and it shows.
Well, I always
But that's
say,
your education.
Yes.
So you can say you're not a designer, but you've been educated and
sure.
lived with a mother who was an incredible decorator. So if we were gonna say, what's your style? How would you describe your style?
I would say colorful, traditional, but
fresh.
fresh, not bound by the rules. I like to know the rules so I can really do whatever I want.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel, I mean, it feels really stylish and well put together and decorated. It doesn't
Thank you.
feel like, happy hands at home, as I call
Yes,
it.
no.
You do not, this looks decorated, my
sophisticated.
angel.
No.
And you did it yourself, but
Yes.
you have a strong sense of decorating.
I definitely have a strong sense.
You
and
could be a decorator if you wanted to be.
Decorating is so hard, though. Like, that is like another skill set. I would need to go back to school. Like, listen, I am
a lot of it's
so impressed
Kate,
by
a lot
decorators.
Of, a lot
it's so
of it's,
hard.
Kate, a lot of it's innate, and you have that innate sense of style. And look, I went to school. I went to Parsons for one
Yeah.
semester. I left. I never worked for anybody. You learn it, and you know what you're doing. I mean, it's clear in this house that you could be a decorator if you chose to be. So let's go into your magical dining room and see that now. So obviously your love of gardening is coming back into here, right, Kate? I mean, look at these flowers.
Yes. Well, even before I knew how to garden, I've always loved green. I love lushness. I love vegetation and foliage. And I was trying to figure out what to do in this room because the wainscoting comes so high, and I didn't want to change that because it had been original to the house. And so I decided to do a mural. And I was talking with my mother about it, and she always worked with a gentleman named Bob Christian, and they had a very long working partnership together. And she said, well, call Bob and tell him your idea. And I was like, I just don't feel like the idea is still like forming in my head. Well, to have a conversation with him, she's like, I think that it'll work out. So I called Bob and I said, I want it to be like a garden, but where everything is blooming at the same time. Like it's a fantasy garden.
I love the way it's sort of wrapping onto the ceiling
Totally.
a little bit. I love that detail. It's so beautiful.
And I sent him pictures of the room, and he sent me the most beautiful watercolor I've ever seen.
I hope you kept that.
Oh yeah, no.
It's framed somewhere.
Yes, totally. And I go, oh, yes, I didn't know this is what I wanted, but this is exactly it. And that's pretty much what he did here.
It's lovely, Kate. Really lovely. And you sell these chairs,
yes,
right?
These chairs are by Mike Diaz. He's a Mexican-American furniture designer.
I love what he does.
I love what he does, too.
I bought a mirror from you of his. I love what he does.
I love what he does. His background is as an antiques dealer, and I like the way his brain works.
I agree.
He travels and is deeply inspired by his travels, and so it'll be something with Mesoamerican flavor, and then a little something with an inspiration from a Japanese temple he saw.
It's super stylish. I think it's
Sicilian Baroque.
I think
very
it's so
cool
interesting, Kate. It feels like modern antiques.
Yes.
Right?
Well, totally. And
I love your dining chairs. They're so pretty.
those are super fun.
Yeah.
I tend to leave the dining table pretty empty if we're not in here. There's so much action that goes on in my house, and as soon there's a child who's got a project and they want to do it on here,
Okay,
and
great. So you're using your dining room as other things also, which
Always.
is great.
There's always someone coloring, doing this,
right, it's great.
studying for a test.
It's great.
And so I kind of tend to leave it a little uncluttered because it is a big work service for us.
Well, and also, what a nice place to do a project in this room.
It's great.
With this enchanting magical garden that's
it is magical.
always in bloom.
We
it's
do
so
love it.
pretty. And I love what you did on the fireplace
Isn't
surround.
that cool?
So what
Again,
is that?
It's tile, and I'm gonna get the name wrong, but it's basically a Delft technique. It's not Delft tile, clearly. And Dick and James found it.
So
I
good
mean,
looking.
like, it's one of those things. That's why I love working with them. They're like, we found this tile. I was like, I feel
great
like
looking.
tile. They're like,
It's great looking.
we found this tile. We think you're gonna love it, and I did. And that's kind of how it goes with them, and why I like working with them.
No,
is
it's great.
They're like, what about this?
And I love the way you put this, you know, this. Really,
I like brown furniture.
Yeah, well, you know, if you think
It's
about
traditional.
it, you know, it's just a wonderful, you know, high boy in here like this, and it's
Handsome,
practical,
good-looking.
and I think it's so good looking. And then, of course, our favorite Christopher Spitzmiller lamps.
Yes, and
on
my
top.
favorite glaze, which I feel like is completely underrated. This is the green Celadon glaze, and it's my favorite.
So pretty.
I think it just is the glowiest, prettiest.
I love
color.
the batik lampshades. They're
Yeah,
so pretty.
those
You
are
sell
fun.
those, don't you?
We do. Vintage silk sari
So
shades.
pretty. So pretty.
Always have a bar set up.
Uh-huh.
In general, you know, when people come, we'll add an ice bucket, and it's kind of often.
I love the little mushroom lamp.
The mushroom lamp
I just
are
bought
fun.
one of those for a client.
They're great.
From the store. They're so pretty.
It's great ambient light, and they're really pretty. It's Atelier MVM, and they're just, you know, you need a little bit of humor, or I need a little bit of
Honey,
humor.
I agree with you.
Can't all be serious.
Can't all be serious, and I love to bring nature into the
Yes,
house. The way
totally.
you do too.
Yes.
You know, we love to have flowers and animals and
Totally.
things. I love all that. It also makes the house feel cozy, I think.
Totally. I'm with you completely.
So should we go into the kitchen?
Let's
next?
go into the
Okay,
kitchen.
Let's go.
This is the kitchen.
I love the red, Kate.
But again, the red's on the floor, and on the island, everything else is white.
Yeah, I love. Well, you use color, but you don't overuse it. It still feels fresh. It doesn't feel heavy. You know.
Well, thank you. It's just the whole house is a family house. It's a family kitchen. I mean, this is a cake my daughter Beatrice made last
So
night.
pretty. I
know.
love it.
She's been like going hard on the Martha Stewart cake cookbook, which is great.
I love that.
I know. I love that they love all these
You know
things.
what? I love also the way you've taken these Chinese lamps with the lacquer shades and put them in here. I love. I mean,
It's
that's
very my mother. These were in the attic at my mother's house in Los Angeles, and I was like, "Can I have these?" And she was like, "You can have those." She's like, "Your grandmother also picked those out for me when I got married."
Oh, is that great?
And like, it's not. Some of the things are things that she was like didn't have a place in her life.
But
at that
I've never
exact
seen
moment.
that. I've never seen somebody take lamps and put them on their kitchen counter
well,
like
thank
that.
you.
And it makes the kitchen so much more interesting. And what did you use on the counter, Kate? I think that's
This is a type of Belgian soapstone.
Yeah,
and,
that's what I
and
thought.
I'm not
I
gonna
love
lie,
it.
it's not for everyone. It
I
has a
love
wax
it.
finish.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I loved it because it has all these
Yeah,
little
it's killer. It almost fossil.
fossilized-
Yeah, it's killer chic.
But also, like, you know, it stains.
But I don't mind that. It looks so chic. Really, it looks great. And I love, again, the way you put the tiles
Yes.
back here, the red and white stars. But it's not too much.
Yes.
You know, it's just a little bit. It's not overdone. And what's this light fixture?
I want to say this is.
Is it vintage?
No, it's new. Wow, I totally do. I'm going to find out.
It's so chic. I love it.
It's a contemporary company, and I love it. And this was another thing in my
love it.
fantasy file.
I love it.
And I thought it just was fun and a little bit.
And how do I love that you have
you.
our
And
everyday
it has been-
elegance cooked? Oh my God. So this is something that my partner Lisa and I make, and Kate bought from us. I love that.
We use it all the time. I think
look at those.
the last time you were here, I think we had cherries in it.
Is that Chris's cookies?
No, they're from Round Swamp.
Okay, whatever. That's just as good.
We can't make everything.
We love Chris's cookies.
We love Chris's cookies, but it's like a very family. Like, this is not super sexy. It's melamine.
I love this table. Kate, this is my, I always say, this is my guilty pleasure repeat, this table. Do you know that I use this table? Because there's no table that wears like this, that you can put any chair in. There's no apron.
Yep.
There's a pedestal base. It doesn't get in your way.
It's fantastic.
It's almost indestructible. And I love it on the red floor, the way you did this. So what is the floor,
So
Kate?
the floor is spatter paint, which is sort of like a traditional New England design. I had Chris Pearson
So it's
do this as well.
painted.
It's painted. Yeah. So the whole thing
I thought it was like tile or something. It's painted.
No, it's paint. One of the things that
Crazy
we've come to
chic.
realize, I was like, because I keep asking my painter, I'm like, why are our painted floors wearing so well? People think that it's wild that I have, 3 kids, 2 dogs, like an insane amounts of sand, and that the floors are in relatively good shape.
I'm going to copy you on this. I want to do this.
It's great.
I love this. I think this is so good looking. You polyurethane.
No, the trick is you have to let the paint dry for a week between coats, which is bonkers.
Wait, say that again?
So if it's 2 coats of paint, like the spatter paint is like decorative on top of that.
Right, yeah.
But so if there were 2 coats of red,
right,
he let it cure an entire week between the 2.
Okay.
Which I was like, seriously? He's like, yeah, that's how we did your whole house.
And that's how it doesn't chip.
And that's why it's so much more durable. And I'm like, it definitely wears in places, but like considering that we've been in this house 8 years and like we live pretty hard.
It looks great. It looks great.
Kids are not exactly careful.
It looks great. And I love your island's so chic.
That's Dick and James.
So chic.
I'm like, make me love it. I'm like conflicted about an island.
No, it's so good looking.
I definitely had a mother who was like table in the kitchen.
I love the island. I love the way, again, it's like really classic but modern and fresh.
Yeah.
And I adore the way you did the red handrails going down the stairs.
Yes, it's fun. So I know it's really unsexy, but this is our fridge and all of its chaos. With 3 kids and 2 dogs, everything is on a list. Usually this has meal planning on it so that people, i.e. my children, we don't constantly fight about food. If you know we're having salmon Tuesday, like maybe you won't be angry about it. Who knows? My 9-year-old did this picture of my husband. Oh my God. And a lot of these are Delphine's. Delphine is almost 9, and they're a lot of her artwork. And of course I let her I can't not let her put it up.
Well,
like,
I think
she's
it's
proud of
homey
it.
and charming.
Art is really important. Having my children paint and draw is something that I really encourage. Right. We set up still lives. We have like watercolor afternoons. I think it's such a pleasurable part of life, and that's kind of fallen out of vogue. So I'm always like, it's coloring afternoon, Saturday.
And what better place to see it than have it on the refrigerator,
exactly.
right? Because you're going to see it all the time every time you open the fridge.
And sometimes, we end up, all these things I think are Delphine, she must have cleared up. But I have like nieces and nephews stuff up here on occasion. Like if you draw something and you want to put it in the fridge, great. This is our gallery. Like
it's great.
We love to see it.
I love it.
Delphine did tell me though that there were a few pieces she'd like me to frame. Okay.
It's great. It's great. So should we go down and see?
Let's go down.
Yeah?
Do you want to see China up here or China downstairs?
Let's do a little bit of both.
Okay. You can never go wrong. I have a lot of China. There would be even more space. I'm like, do we need that closet? Alex is like, you can't have the mechanical closet.
You and I are both the same way too, right? I told you I've gotten rid of every coat closet in my house, and they're all dish closets.
Of course.
I have no more coat closets.
Of course.
Coats go to the basement.
This is our dear friend Christopher Spitzmiller. I love
the color.
This is the watermelon. I love all this marbleized. This is the new breakfast cup, which I've been literally badgering him about. I'm like, I want another breakfast.
I saw it in the shop the other day and loved it. And I said, I love the scale. I took a picture of the cup because I love a big cup like that.
Because this is how much tea or coffee or whatever I want.
I'm the same way.
But I love it. I have this in multiple colors. It looks wonderful. And then this, because I am, again, such a sentimentalist, this is like a well-known Italian carnation pattern.
My mother had these dishes.
Well, I was going to say, you know why I have them is because our next door neighbor growing up, who still lives there, Jennifer Vane, had these, and I fell in love with them at like the age of 8. And
it's like so sentimental to see these.
I'm a sentimental fool.
No,
That's
but
what I'm telling you.
No, I love them. My mother had these.
I was crazy for them, and when I saw
they're so pretty.
I found some place to make them, or that was making them, right when we were finishing up the house, and I was like, it was meant to be. And so,
and they couldn't be more your color palette, right?
It's a great color palette. It's red, it's green, it's all that fun stuff.
I love them.
And then the other thing that I have a lot of, which I really love, is all this Cabana Janori.
Fun, really fun.
It's great looking. It goes in the dishwasher.
Yeah, no, it's great.
So my children love it.
Yeah, okay, right. They don't mind setting the table with those.
Exactly, but it's like bright and fun, and it's great for out here. But that's what's up here. So the diamond pane windows were an original design element from the house. And I had wanted to save the original windows. As we went to restore them, they just sort of disintegrated. So we ended up remaking them. But I really love them. I think they're totally charming and appropriate for a shingle house from 1901. And, you know, Dick and James know that I get so caught up in these sort of details. Like, I love them the most.
Well, it's also because your floor doesn't have a pattern on it, and it sort of brings the pattern back into the room.
Totally.
But in a new way. It's
Totally.
great looking. I love it. I think you did a great job.
And then just lots and lots and lots of cookbooks. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I read cookbooks more than actually use them these days.
I like that too.
But I still like to read them.
Well,
And-
also, don't you think that if you read the cookbooks, then later on you'll come up with an inspiration for a meal?
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and also the fun thing is all three of my girls love to bake. So there's always like...
So do you girls all bake together?
That would be too easy, Alex. No. The 16-year-old wants to bake separately from the 13-year-old wants to bake separately from the 9-year-old.
So you mean you're baking with everybody?
Yeah, well, 16-year-old doesn't need me. Are you kidding me?
Oh, right,
She's
right.
better than I am. The
Right, right.
13-year-old, she likes some assist. The 9-year-old definitely needs help. Otherwise, she's like, I have made a magical potion and I would love you to taste it.
Oh, God, that's so
Like, no,
cute.
don't use it.
So, obviously, we got a little sneak peek of the things you use in the kitchen, but I know what a collector you are. Can we go downstairs and see the real china closet?
Let's go check it out.
Let's go. So here we are. I feel like we're going into...
I know. So this is a little bit more of the china. I love old china. I love new china. So this is a really beautiful plate.
Oh, here's the dinner dishes.
Yeah. Spode. 19th century. It's
So
just really
pretty.
beautiful. I love it.
Lovely.
I love the smaller size of the antique dinner plates. I think they're really charming. Sometimes they don't work as well.
Well, but what's nice is also then, you know, it's not piling up food.
Totally.
I like it, actually. Let people have seconds.
Always.
You know, it's so much more
Always.
elegant. Food looks prettier. I hate mounds of
I'm
food.
with you,
In
but-
Europe, you never eat like that. You don't have these big plates. I think it's so elegant. Oh, well, we never saw those. Those are the dragons.
Isn't that wild?
That's gorgeous.
I mean, so wild. I
Yeah.
just crazy
Yeah,
for
that's
them.
gorgeous.
Like, I love these so much, I'm always tempted to hang them on the wall.
They're great.
Um,
They're great.
But then I get sad because I can't use them on the table.
Well, you know what you could do? You could do... Did you ever see that Mongiardino room where the plates were like sort of almost popped into something? I bet they could be put into like a panel that you
Ooh.
pop them out of, and that like it's like a door like this.
Okay.
And then you make a hole in it, and then the door has...
And then I can swap them out? I love it!
Well, I mean, if they're the right size.
Well, we'd have to hunt for a lot that were the right size.
Wouldn't that be such a pity to have to go shopping?
It would be terrible. It would be, but someone has to do it. I love
Those are
these.
fun. What are those?
Carolina Irving and Daughters. Aren't
Oh,
those
yeah, those are...
fun?
I've never
Nicole?
seen those. They're
Aren't
great
they great looking?
Yeah, I
And
love
then
them.
These guys are also from them, and I kind of
Yeah,
love
I
them.
love those. Those are great too.
Together.
So fun.
I
So
have
stylish.
these wonderful. I mean, I have so many Christopher Spitzmiller plates. Aren't those wonderful? Those are from Casa Gusto.
Yeah,
and
they're
I think they're
beautiful, yeah.
really beautiful.
I love that store in Palm Beach. It's my favorite store in Palm Beach.
It's so much fun.
Those are Chris?
These are Chris. This is a collaboration Chris did with Marion McAvoy.
Oh, I love them.
And they're all these.
great.
And I just, they're
Well,
really...
you sell Marion's
I
things
sell
too.
Marion's
And
things.
she does fabrics now and
She
does
does
all
fabric,
Yeah,
she
it's
does
really
cork,
wonderful
she
what
does
she's doing.
mirrors,
Yeah.
she
I
does-
didn't see. I've never seen the dishes. I love them.
I
Where do
think
you
they're
buy
just-
the dishes?
You can order them from KRB, and
Oh,
you can also
great.
get them directly from Chris.
I didn't see these in the store.
They were in the store
Were
at
they?
one point. Everything's been in the store at one point. Some things just don't last very long.
Right. Well, right.
But you know, it's fun to have, and then it's like,
Oh, that's more of that
I know.
set. Beautiful.
I always would say that my mother was my china dealer. She would call me and be like, "There's an odd lot. There's like 10 salad plates, 8 dinners. Isn't that
That's
fun?
stunning.
Isn't that great?
So
Ironstone,
that's
so good. I have a
beautiful.
ton of that.
Oh my God! Look how beautiful it is on the.
I
I
know,
love
I'm crazy
this.
for it.
That's
Down here-
gorgeous. I
Down
love
here,
that.
there's
That would actually work for me too. I've never even seen that pattern.
Isn't
Do you
it
know what that's
wild?
called?
no, but I'll find
Is
out.
it Japan? What is it? It's like they're but it's so. the
It's
col-
definitely English
I
ironstone,
love
but you know,
the
I
color.
could use a good peroxide bath. But
Oh, is that how you clean these?
yeah, it's really, really. So you need to buy food grade peroxide. And
What
you
is
need-
that? Like hydrogen peroxide? You mean?
Yes, but I mean, someone's going to think you're doing something nefarious. So you
Why
have to,
would they think you're
because you can't. It will burn your skin off.
Oh,
so you need
really?
to put like industrial gloves on, but you
Wow.
put it in a tub and then you slide it in and leave it overnight, and it eats all of like the stuff that collects under the crazing.
Oh wow!
This is not my original thing. It's a John Rosselli thing.
That's genius.
I know.
Well, John Roselli would know those things.
John Roselli
That's
would
so
know
pretty too. I love that.
Aren't these sweet? My mother gave these to me. You know, they're just 19th century lusterware. And they're just
They're beautiful.
sort of
I love them. Love them. And again, that they
It's a
where your
little
mom
bit-
gave them to you. You know, I have things like that. I love that.
Totally.
It makes you think of your mother always.
Exactly. You know, I have all sorts. And this is funny French faience.
Oh, that's charming.
Like
yes.
charming.
A little chinoiserie.
Exactly. But also, let's see what's over here. I mean, literally, I can't stop.
Love those.
This is, I'm crazy for this. This is from La Tuileries, and it's this whole set
Oh, that's
of
beautiful.
Plates and servingware and bowls.
It's beautiful.
With
Like seascapes.
with seascapes.
This is
And
beautiful.
I try and do like a big paella dinner at least once a year.
That's beautiful. But
And
that's
like-
more of a winter dish. So pretty.
Yeah, well, or you can get it like on a good rainy,
Yeah,
on a
that's
good
beautiful.
rainy August day, like
That's
we've been
beautiful.
having.
I love that. I love
What
that.
else is interesting? Ooh, these are fun.
Oh, those are beautiful too. Marbleized. Mm-hmm. Those are
love
fun.
those
Yeah.
sludgy colors.
Uh-huh.
You know, all sorts of good stuff. And then, oh wait, sorry,
No.
we could do this for days.
I love this.
I am
love.
bonkers
Oh,
for
yeah,
these.
Yeah. Is this the woman in Paris who does these?
I got them. This is Cabana Capri,
Uh-huh.
Helen White. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, it's the woman in Paris who does them. They're beautiful.
You know.
Yeah. They're beautiful.
I'm strictly retail, baby.
Yeah. They're beautiful. They're beautiful.
And then
Well, no, excuse me. You're not strictly retail. You're a dealer yourself,
I know,
my
but I don't
darling.
do tabletop.
Okay.
This is also kind of fun to see over here.
Oh, I love that.
And this is my linen. This is like the tablecloths.
I
and
love
then
that. Look how organized you are.
it's very organized. Well, also because I never remember how big anything is. So, and I think everything fits everything, which it does not. So it's very helpful to me to go, okay, that'll fit on the upstairs table.
Right, that's
or-
great. That's genius.
I have moments
You have
of
to be organized like that to live the life you live. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you're not organized, you just can't do everything. And that's why organization.
You still can't
helps
do
to-
everything, but it helps.
It helps to do a lot, sweetheart. I'm not saying, but you
Totally.
do a lot.
I do a
And
lot.
I think your organization level is what makes you able to do that. What's
For
in this
sure.
closet?
This was of course supposed to be all napkins, but there's of course
A little bit of
more
the glasses spill over,
But
right?
also, these are all napkins. It's a real mix. Some vintage, some new, some really beautiful Leontine linen ones are mixed in there. This is fun. This is
Your
kind
flower
of-
room?
Flower room, service kitchen, second kitchen. We use it a lot when we serve, when we eat downstairs by the pool. But it's great. It's a great staging area. You can do buffet from here, and it hides a multitude of sins. You know, a dishwasher and an ice machine, and you know, and a second fridge.
Right, yeah,
And
yeah.
that's full of. I don't even know if you want to see that. But that's full of flower vessels.
Yeah, love. We love that. Great.
And more plates because I have a problem. What can I say?
And I love the frogs you sell. You know, I'm obsessed with your frogs. Yeah, of course. Those are so pretty.
So many frogs. Lusterware, all the different, you know, and we rotate things. I rotate things.
I see
in and
that
out.
new Christopher Spitzmiller
Oh, yeah.
faux bois bucket that I love.
fun?
Yeah.
I love this
yeah,
one.
I love that. I love that.
Well, I'm a really mediocre.
Chris
flower
said he
arranger.
actually, I think he said that he got that idea from a silver one that I have in my house when he
Oh.
came and stayed with me.
Oh,
His is
fabulous.
taller. I mean, he
Uh-huh.
made his own interpretation of it, but I have this beautiful silver faux bois bucket
Love
that I
it.
had made in Paris. And you sell, I love, this is Francis Palmer, right?
No, this
Sorry.
is Francis Palmer,
Oh, okay.
which we do sell, and then this is Nicholas Newcomb.
Oh, I love Nicholas too. I
and
love
he
them
does these
all.
wonderful banded vases as well as these.
They're so
That are
pretty,
great.
so
This is
pretty.
Francis Palmer. There's some other
And
Francis
don't you
Palmer.
collect glass too, Kate? What-
I do. So I collect 19. That's actually 20th century, but a lot of 19th century American glass.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like weird things like this. A lot of it's in the city, but
Beautiful. Look at that color.
I love the
I mean, it's so
colors and like
pretty.
this sort of funny hat shape
Yeah,
and all that kind of stuff.
it's wonderful. And you just
and-
put plants and flowers in those.
Yeah.
Great.
Or like cheese straws if you're having people.
Love.
You know, like just or like tall
Right.
celery sticks for weird crudité.
Love.
You know, just everything has like 65 purposes.
Well, that's great.
Like these, which my mother always encouraged me to buy. They're celery vases.
I love them. Yeah,
And
I have those too.
They're great for flowers. They're also great to put.
Well, they're also the right like size mouth for a flower vase.
Totally.
Yes, they work well.
Also, they're great if you
Yeah.
have a buffet. She always put forks and knives in them, so you
great.
could just grab them and
Great.
and go.
It's great.
But yeah, And you can see more of the glass here.
Beautiful, so pretty.
The big ones these were from a Mario Botta sale. I was like, oh, that's what I need, more glass. But I couldn't resist the color.
They're beautiful.
And then these are ones that I make. This color is unbelievably difficult to reproduce.
So wait, you make this one?
We make the green ones, the
right.
lime green ones. And then this set of 4 was from a Mario Botta sale.
I bought from Mario too. I have a lot of things from Mario.
There were a lot of sales.
Yeah, and a lot of us bought
They were
from
good.
that, right? We all have things from Mario. I loved Mario, who was great.
Yeah.
Again, the lamps
An
on
icon.
the counter.
It's
love
very
that.
Suzanne. I feel like it's very
That's
my
so
mother, and
interesting.
it's something that she taught me to do.
I love
because
it.
she was very much like decorate it like it's a room.
Well, and
you
also
know?
the thing that's also so nice is the downlight is so not charming and intimate. And lampshade light.
Nobody looks good.
Right. Lampshade light brings that light into the
Totally.
room, but in a very sort of human, cozy way.
100%.
So should we go upstairs and see the bedrooms now?
Let's go.
Okay, let's
on
go.
out. I've always loved design people. I grew up, my mother was a well-known interior designer, and she had a store for
I knew
30
your
years.
amazing mother, and I thought she was
I
so
know.
wonderful and such a lady and so incredible. And
Well,
she had
thank
great
you.
taste, and she was just a divine, beautiful, wonderful
Well,
person.
thank you so much. So much of, clearly my shop is inspired by her shop, Hollyhock.
But it's
which
your own thing,
For
which
sure.
I love. You know, and I
100%.
loved your mother's store in LA. I shopped there.
Yeah.
I was a customer. But again, and that's kind of the thing that I think is so great about you. Yes, you have this great decorative history, but you're totally your own person.
Well, thank you.
And I
Thank you.
love that. And I
She
think
definitely
it's so
encouraged
chic,
me to be my own person.
which is nice.
She was very much like, you don't need to.
Which is really nice
When
that she was like that.
When I was talking about opening a store in New York, she was never like, she's like, don't do like Hollyhock East or something like that. She's like, do your own thing, be your own person. Like, I support you fully, and I think this is great, but like, you know, do your own, kind of have your own vision in the best way.
And I love that you have this decorating shop, because I think that, you know, I've been doing this for 37 years, and I guess my first really beloved decorating shop was Charlotte Moss's.
Yes,
Which I loved, and I followed her from location to location to location. Then it was Slacken and Company.
Yes.
And you know, of course, I'm friends with Charlotte, and I'm dear, dear friends with the Slackens
Right.
through their shop. And then, you know, and then you, and they're really, I think, when I put it in my head, those are really the decorating stores, the decorative stores that really stand out in New York City over the years.
Well, thank you.
Charlotte, Slacken, and now you.
Well, thank you.
And you've taken their concept of a beautiful sort of store that has everything, but you've made it fresh and modern and new.
Well, thank you,
And the
Alex.
thing I also love is that I can bring traditional clients and I can bring more modern clients in.
We like to have something for everyone, and I really feel like you don't have to use it in the context that I use it in. I'm just making things beautiful for the shop and in these moments and these vignettes, and it's, I think that if you take them out of that context, you can give them a whole new life.
Well, here's a perfect example of practicing what you preach, because I can see so many of your beautiful things from your store here and
Yes.
used in your own and unique
Yes.
way. So here we go. We're going upstairs to see the bedrooms, right?
Let's head on up.
Nice.
So this is the bedroom I share with my husband, Alexander.
So pretty.
And it's full of light. One of the wonderful things that we did in this house is I hired a woman named Eve Ashcraft,
Okay.
who is a color consultant and color guru, to help me figure out all the colors. I knew I wanted a lot of color, and there's a number of colors in here, and she really helped me make sense of them.
And another beautiful painted floor.
This is another Bob Christian floor. It's really beautiful. It's very much in the style of something my mother would do.
so pretty.
And I'd always wanted a giant sleigh bed.
Yeah, I love it.
I couldn't resist it.
I love your ruffle curtains.
Thank you. We love a detail. We love a ruffle.
Is that's
This is not Mike Diaz.
it's not.
This is actually 18th century Mexican.
How interesting
isn't
is
that
that? So which
fascinating?
came first?
This
for
came
you?
first. This is actually one of the reasons that Mike and I got to know each other on Instagram, because I had posted this on Instagram and he saw it and we talked about it. But, and then, as I always say, you can take
So
the
there's no, like, nothing's by chance. Everything
Nothing is by
happens for a reason.
chance.
Because I thought this was Mike Diaz. Isn't that funny?
No, isn't it wonderful?
But I
though?
knew it. It's beautiful.
It's weird. I love the proportion.
It's 18th century Mexican.
Yeah.
Isn't that so interesting?
Isn't that
I'm not
fabulous?
even familiar with 18th century Mexican furniture.
Yeah, it's cool because they were trying to copy all these English things.
Yeah.
But making them way
Well, it
cooler.
sort of looks English and French.
Yeah, well, all these continental and English things and way cooler.
And what's this? This is so
that's an
interesting.
18th century Italian like altar. That I bought.
There would have
for
been
my-
like a Madonna in there or something. right?
Exactly. And as I always say, you can take the girl out of LA, but you can't take the LA out of the girl.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Can't have
Wonderful.
enough crystals.
Right, that's great.
And then we have a little desk over here that Alex and I share.
love
It's
this.
very I
Love
want to
it.
say it's for show, but it's very much like a dropping off point. It's like a good place to take a Zoom. It's a good place to,
Are these
catch
my
up and-
favorite? Are these my favorite Liz O'Brien, Sam Marks
No,
chairs?
these are actually Bunny Williams' home.
Oh,
Aren't they
interesting.
wonderful?
Yeah, they're fun.
But I know those chairs. I have those in my dining room in the city.
yeah,
But
I love those
They're
chairs.
great. So it's a pretty calm room, full of books, and it's a real.
I love the way you've
Oasis.
used the bookcases as room dividers like that.
So it's a funny room. It's not even L-shaped. It's got like a barnacle on it, and because there's also, if you look back here, you can see that there's a
Oh,
screened
wonderful!
porch.
It's like a sleeping porch.
Yes, and so I wanted to keep the porch, but that meant that we had this sort of funny.
Oh, there's such a
knuckle,
nice breeze, Kate.
right? Well, that's the nice thing about being high up is that you really
Wow.
you catch a greater
That's
breeze.
great.
Yeah, it works.
That's so charming.
It's one of my favorite things about the house.
Do you ever like lie down out there and take a nap?
Yes. Are you kidding me? I hide out there all the time with like my book, a cup of coffee in the morning.
Divine. I love
No one can
that.
find you. It's great. What do you think, Cooper?
Cooper thinks it's fresh out there. And I love your bedside tables, the lacquer
Thank
company,
you. Yes,
right?
these are Rita Koenig designed for the Lacquer Company.
I bought those before too. I love
Yeah,
them.
they're great. They're just like a really practical but kind of elevated shape. Another Chris Spitzmiller lamp. I mean,
My favorites.
is it even a room if it doesn't have a Spitzmiller lamp?
Not to me. You know me. And I have Christopher Spitzmiller lamps everywhere.
I mean, so do I.
You know, we're totally in agreement there. I love it. And what pretty chintz is this? What is this?
This is a
Is it Lee Jaffa?
Jean Monroe
Jean
chintz,
Monroe. I love Jean Monroe.
and it's on the reverse side.
Yeah, I love that,
Which is
yeah.
something that my mother did
yeah,
a lot.
I do that too.
Yeah, because it's great because it makes it very soft.
It makes it antique.
Yeah.
And sometimes those colors are just too strong.
Totally.
Yeah. Jean Monroe makes beautiful fabrics. And I love your sheets,
These
and
are-
I
these
know
are-
who these are. Our
These
great
are
friend,
our
right?
dear friend Jane Scott Hodges,
Right.
her company Leontine Linen.
Which we love.
Which we love.
And you do trunk shows for her, don't you?
We do trunk shows for her at KRB a couple times a year. This is one of my favorite things from Jane.
Love.
I know it has a real name, but we call them in my family silkies. And they're these wonderful
Satin
quilts
That's
that are
beautiful.
really beautiful and are also washable.
Yeah, they're so chic. I made one of those for my great niece as a gift with a unicorn that Jane
you are
made for
really-
me.
you are
Jane did
good.
that for me in
That's so
pink for
sweet.
her room. I love these, and I love Jane's. And oddly enough, I told you Jane is my house guest this weekend.
love it.
It's so cute,
I love
right?
it. It's
Just
so good.
another thing we have in common.
I know. Well,
cute.
there's another wonderful set of sheets that she did for me in one of the girls' rooms.
Okay, let's go look.
This is Frederica's room. Freddie and Beatrice actually used to share it, but during the pandemic, the sisters could share no more. So now it's Frederica's room, and this is another really charming piece from Leontine Linens.
So pretty.
I was talking to Jane, and I said, I'd like something special and charming, and she goes, I have just the pattern for you. And she pulled this from the archives, and it's just been really darling and wonderful, and I love the way it
so
looks with
pretty.
the nasturtium pattern. I've always loved nasturtiums.
Who's this Pat?
This is Lake August.
And who carries that?
Hollywood at Home does in California, and someone in New York that I am blanking on.
And this is the fabric too.
That's the fabric.
So pretty. I feel like I'm in like a little girl's room when we were growing up. It feels
Totally.
like something,
Well,
you know,
it's
it's
charming.
so pretty and charming.
Well,
and
that
I
one-
love the little alligator
Isn't that
rug.
fun? That's from Nikki Kehoe.
That's
They have.
so
I just thought it was really
cute.
fun and humorous, and
And
just
that fabric's beautiful too.
you know, and like she's a 13-year-old girl, so like there's a lot of stuff.
It's divine.
I won't open the closet for you.
But it also looks like a room she really uses and lives
It
in
is.
and enjoys.
She comes and sits and reads over here all the time.
Beautiful.
And, you know, I also think, though, that hopefully, like, in a few years, we'll push the beds together and make it a king.
Yeah.
And, like, we can Jane can upgrade the linens to something a little
it's
more,
great.
a little older. And I think it'll still work.
Oh,
as,
it's
like, a
beautiful. I
charming-
mean, I think I'd be happy to stay in here as a guest. You know what I mean? It's such a pretty room.
It's fun because there's also a little screen porch off of it as well.
Like another sleeping porch, right?
Another
That's what they were
sleeping
for.
porch, and
right?
it's wonderful. And we put a hammock out there for her, which was her request.
Well, that's divine. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it's pretty good.
So much fun. I have to ask you. I've got to see
Yes.
your mom's room that you always you do.
I would love to
Let's
show it
go
to you.
see that because that's where your mom always stayed when she came to visit, right?
Always. So this is the guest bedroom in the main house.
it's so
And
lovely, Kate.
I always said I needed to have one guest bedroom which basically is nice enough for my mother. And we covered everything in this room in one of her fabrics for Lee Joffa, Garden Roses.
So pretty.
And it's pretty and it's cozy, and she always loves staying here. And it's been nice because I've added some of her favorite pieces.
Oh, that's lovely.
This beautiful
Vladimir, our favorite.
I was very lucky to inherit this from my mother, and it was in her bedroom in
Beautiful.
New York, and I feel like it really feels special in here.
Beauty. It's a
And
beauty.
I feel like her spirit is here, and
Well, you know what? You know, Vladimir made a lot of flowers, but that one's very specific, and
Yes.
it somehow it reminds me of your mother's store and the flowers that she
totally.
always had.
Totally. I
It's so
agree.
beautiful, really so
I
pretty,
agree.
and the fabric in here is so pretty. And again, Leontine linens mixed with Porto,
Totally.
which I do that too
yes,
at home. Right? I love
it's
that.
great. Well, yes, it's great. It's
I find
forgiving.
that I also find that all the Porto, all of it,
Yeah.
can be a little
Totally, and I like to
much.
mix it up
Yeah,
and
I
all
do
that good
too.
stuff.
And make it your own.
And
That's
I
what-
always
I love
had,
that.
my mother's own monogram sham for her for when she came to say,
That's so cute.
which was like a fun little
Sweet.
Jainism.
And a little shades for her to rest on.
A little shades. This was actually from my father's grandmother's house somewhere along the line, but we'd always had it, and I'd always loved it as a little girl because it's this wonky Victorian.
It's great. I
And
love it.
So we covered in purple mohair,
Which is divine.
and it's wonderful, and it's kind of great because you can still see the TV and all that good stuff. and
It's
kinda
like a
get that.
sculpture.
Yeah.
It's great looking.
Well, and that's the fun thing about taking pieces that you inherit. And I know you talk about this a lot, but honor it, but it doesn't have to be precious.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't keep the original fabric.
Right, and you also didn't put it in your living room.
No.
You put it in a bedroom, and that's the perfect wall for it.
It's perfect.
And again, by putting it in sort of that sort of chic, offy kind of purple velvet,
Right.
it makes it modern.
I think so.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a fun piece, and it has good feelings, and you can sometimes find one of the other girls
You know,
hiding
you
out
put it
here.
next to a little lucite table and a standing lamp so that it feels fresh.
Yes.
And this fabric's so beautiful of your mom's.
I love it.
Really
I find it
beautiful.
to be deeply sentimental, and
I love that.
It's been good, and it's nice to have a bit of her here.
All right. Well, you always have her here with all the
Yes.
things that you've inherited from her.
I know.
And it's a constant reminder. And I think that's how you keep people with you, by the
Totally.
reminders of the things they
100%.
loved, the furniture
Telling
they
the
had.
stories that are associated. They're really,
Right.
so many of these inherited pieces are more like trigger points to a great story.
So I'm dying to see the gardens. Can we go outside and see them? It's so pretty, and I love your pool area. It's so stylish.
Let's go.
Okay, great. Is everybody out?
Everyone's, they'll climb through everything. So here we are by the pool, and we spend a lot of time here with the 3 girls and the 2 dogs who swim almost incessantly.
Oh my God, this is so magical. I love this.
Thank you. These are plane trees that we've been training to grow together. It's going to get a big thin out this
I love this.
winter.
Where did you get this idea? I've never seen this.
It's an idea that's very popular in Italy and in France.
It's funny. I've
and,
never seen it like this.
But I have to give full credit to Charlie Martyr, who, when he saw it, we had a plan. Dick and James also came up with a plan for this entire area. And we had drawn a metal pergola, and he's like, you know what you could do? He's like, we could get some plane trees and we could train them, and it's been really magical.
Oh,
and I'm so glad that we did it. And
it's gorgeous.
You know, I love
I've had
shade.
dinner here, but I don't remember
Yes.
that this was.
Well, I feel like you don't notice it much at night because you're not hiding from the shade.
It's incredible.
From the sun. And since
So
I love shade always.
Yeah, I do too. I'm a shade person too. And this is so chic and stylish
great.
down here. Just so good.
This was another Boris and Sharon design. But we definitely spend a lot of time in here reading, watching the kids swim, having cocktails. We'll have people out here for cocktails.
So pretty.
You know, even playing games. You know, just sort of depends how much time everyone's wanting to spend in the pool.
And I love the fabric. Whose fabric is this?
This is Tillet. And they printed it for me as outdoor fabric, and I'm just absolutely crazy for it.
So pretty. It's great looking.
Colors are great, and it just feels really good. It feels like me.
I love it. And the little Dickinson tables, side
Aren't
tables.
those fun? The Dickinson style tables.
I love those.
It's it's very
and
functional.
I love the big double chaise lounges.
They're great because it's usually like me, a child, and a wet dog on the other side. So it's enough room for all of us.
So pretty. It looks great.
Thank you.
Oh, and now we're looking up at the screened-in porch.
Yeah. It's pretty to look back on as well.
Yeah. Well, let's go. Should we go have a coffee?
Let's go have a coffee.
Oh, and here, but look, your geraniums. I love this.
Not all of them are blooming right now, but I expect one more flush before the summer's over.
So pretty.
So Alex, this is our screened porch.
Oh, it's so pretty.
And we spend an enormous amount of time out here. At night, after dinner, this is where we like to come after dinner.
So
and,
great.
You know,
it's so charming.
hang out.
I've been in here before with you. It's so lovely.
It's
just lovely.
You catch a really nice breeze being up this high, and you get to kind of see it all, but while being a little protected.
It's so pretty, and I love the fabrics, and I love all the wicker. Is the wicker? Tell me about the wicker.
The wicker is all. It's mostly rattan, and it's vintage. It's like what stick wicker.
But you painted it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is from the 20s. It's one of those presidential sets where it's like a his and hers chair.
Yeah, it's great.
And then I know, go for it,
But don't
baby.
get carried away.
That's okay. But yes, it's my mother taught me the power of paint. So all the furniture, all the wicker is painted this sort of like olivey green color, and then all of these tables that I accumulated from different places are painted this sort of pesto-y green color. And then there's a lot of ferns in here because they love this wild humidity.
Well, your sense of color, I think, is so original and so
thank you.
pretty and so stylish. And as you said, it's a combination of you and Alex, and then your mother's influence on you. And I love the way you use color, and that's wonderful. So, and we brought the fabric back from the pool a little bit, so there's a little bit of continuity.
Totally, and
right?
all the outdoor fabrics are the same.
So pretty. Oh, our coffee's here.
Let me serve you. Can I get sugar?
Yes, thank you. Sugar and coffee, perfect. Thank you so much. And my favorite frog on the table.
I know, they are.
I love those frogs of yours. How many of those frogs have I bought from you over the years?
I know.
A lot.
Because they're the best, and it's great to put things in. I love to see them I love to put a maidenhair fern in it, but literally it can only be out in this much humidity, otherwise they turn into a potato chip.
So pretty. Really, really great. You know, it's been so much fun visiting you.
Well,
and it's been
love seeing you. Thank you for coming and bringing Cooper.
And your beautiful, sort of your knowledge and your sensibility. It's just so refreshing and so great. And I love your sense of history. You know, I love that your mom was such a big influence. I think that's so wonderful. Really.
She was. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us, honey. Thank you, thank you. Loved being here. So
Love
nice.
seeing
So
you.
nice. Really a great day, and we were so lucky with this weather, right?
I know, we really lucked out. I mean, I don't want to jinx this, but it was really supposed to be miserable.
Horrible, horrible. But anyway, even in bad weather, your house would be
Well,
divinely
thank you.
stylish.
Thank you, thank you.
Bye, sweetheart.
Bye.
Come on, Coops, let's go. Come on. Having too much of a good time?
Today on Homeworthy, one of our favorite hosts, Alex Papachristidis, invites us along as he visits his friend Miles Red at his incredible New York City townhouse. Inside is a true feast for the eyes. As an avid collector and lover of layers, Miles has dressed nearly every inch of his home with vibrant colors, wonderful antiques, and rich fabrics. His amazing terrace is an oasis in the city, and not to miss is his spectacular mirrored bathroom, which is like stepping into a diamond. Miles is a renowned interior designer revered for his signature cozy and glamorous style. His trademark approach to design has brought to life rooms infused with boldness, fantasy, and sophistication. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Miles Red and this is my home. Come on in.
Hi, I'm Alex Papachristidis, and we are downtown in the divine townhouse of my cute friend Miles Red. So Miles, tell us about this magical house. Tell us the story of your house and how it all happened.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to do this, Alex. It's a pleasure to be on Homeworthy.
I'm so happy. I know you don't love doing these things, but
I mean,
I'm so
you know
happy you're
what?
doing this.
I'm leaning in, baby.
I'm
leaning
so happy
in.
you're doing it because, you know, we've had this conversation, Miles. You have such great taste and style
Thank
and
you.
unique personal style.
Thank you.
And if we can't share that and sort of share our creativity, our process, I just think it would be a loss for the world not to sort of have that
Alex,
little insight into your world.
I think you and I have had the great benefit of being exposed to so many wonderful people with so much style and so much taste that have taught me, and I feel like, as you said, we're passing the baton as best we can.
Right.
But Alex,
Well, we're not passing it yet.
speak for yourself. So my sister and I actually bought this townhouse in 1998. We first of all lived in it together. She lived on the bottom 2 floors, and I lived on the top 2 floors. Fast forward a few years, she gets married, has a baby, then has
So
twins.
you move in together. You're both
Yes.
you're both single.
Both single.
Right.
Then she gets married, has a baby, and we actually, it was really like, looking back at it, just such a wonderful time.
Well, it's kind of yummy, right?
I mean, just, it was like, I'm, as you are, I'm
Yeah.
super close to my sister.
Right, me too.
She's everything to me, and...
well, we're crazy. We live in the same apartment building.
I mean,
Yeah, my sister
feel
and I
like
live in the same building.
It's not a bad idea. Like,
It's really it's heaven, Miles.
but with a family of 3, this is a very small townhouse. It was time for her to move on to greener pastures. So I took over the whole
It's the
thing.
space. The kids need space.
The kids
With,
were
like-
amazing with it, and you know what? Everybody is still so attached to this house because it's like the formative years.
Oh,
they
that's-
all have keys.
How divine.
They all
That's
have keys.
so
they all
cute.
come. They all
Oh,
bring
I
their
love
girlfriends.
that. Oh, I
they all
love
are like,
that.
This is where I was born. This is
Oh
where
my
I
God,
grew
I
up.
love
and
that.
so it is like a very special family home.
And you said for a minute before, so and the decoration downstairs,
was really my sister. I mean,
and you kept it that way.
Well,
You tweaked it?
You know, always tweaks.
Well, we're always, but that's okay. But
Always
we're always
tweak.
tweaking.
She had a pumpkin glazed dining room, but like the brown and cream satin stripe on the walls. Do you remember that Clarence House fabric?
Yeah.
That's what that is. And that was a fabric that she loved. She's always been a sort of a chocolate brown girl. And but she had a sort of a pumpkin-y, that Janssen cover of Mary McFadden's grandmother's dining room. That color was her dining room. And I changed it to the sort of chalky green. And like, I'm always gonna like live in more of a stylized set. It's just how I am.
I don't feel setty here at all.
You don't?
No, I feel very comfortable and homey and cozy, and I feel like this is just reflective of somebody who loves beautiful things and collects beautiful things.
I mean, amen, brother.
No, but that's the way it feels.
Amen.
No, and as I said to you before, it's so nice because now I don't feel like I shop too much.
Oh, God.
So when you bought the house, was there something outstanding or something special that made you say, this is the house? And did it, or today, what's your favorite thing about this house? What makes you...
I guess the thing was, the house was an absolute wreck when we got it.
Which is, I think, the best thing in the world.
Like, incredible.
Because then it's your
I
own,
mean, like,
it's your own thing.
Metal grates on all the windows. We changed all the windows to the beautiful French windows. The wonderful thing about this house that I loved was it wasn't landmarked. Like, so we could do what we did.
Right.
And like, it was landmarked soon after that, this
Right.
area. But it wasn't landmarked yet. And it was in...
How many years ago, Mo?
1998. Now, it was in this neighborhood where I had gone to school, NYU. And like, this neighborhood is so convenient to Soho, to the East Village, to Chelsea, to the subways. It's just an incredibly, and it's kind of, you're tucked in. And I just thought, we're never gonna beat this location, and this is a good deal, and it's a jewel in the rough, and we're gonna transform it into what it is today.
So let's go walk around and tour and see the magic of Miles.
Fabulous.
I love the entrance, Miles, and I love the palm trees. Tell us a little bit about the palm trees. Obviously, they're the Janssen ones. Right?
I mean, completely stolen from the cover of the book, Mary McFadden's grandmother's dining room.
Fabulous Janssen.
I fell in love with palm trees.
Yeah, I get it.
It's Spencer House. It's Hollywood. There's so many references in Space and Time. Elsie DeWolf. Amelia Terry.
Have you ever seen the Louis Kane palm trees?
I don't know if I have.
I'm going to send you a picture.
All right.
I think you might need a Louis Kane
Really?
palm tree.
Are they the little tiny ones that sit on a tabletop?
They're in Versailles tubs. You know Louis Kane.
I do know what you're talking about, and yes, I have. They are amazing.
I
you
have
have
one.
you have a table full of them.
No,
don't
I have
you?
one. I have a Louis Kane palm tree, but I love Louis Kane. But you need a Louis Kane palm tree. I can see something. I could see.
Christmas is coming. Christmas is coming.
But it's so pretty. I love the palm trees too. Well, they're romantic, right?
Yeah, and they give you a sense of glamour when you walk in the front door.
I love it. And a sense of scale too.
Yeah.
It's the scale. And I love what you do with doors.
I mean, I'm always upholstering a door. I always say, if you can't decorate your door, you're missing the boat in decorating.
So
You know,
chic.
you always got to do something.
And I love the way the front door on the outside is so divine.
Couldn't
And
get
then
away
on the
with that
inside-
now.
What?
I couldn't get away with that now. I mean,
Oh,
like, they're
because
so, Landmark is so intense.
About the color of your door?
Color, like style, and it would have to have been a federal style house. That's like a totally French front door.
I love the door.
But
so chic.
If you can't mix it up, like, what's the point?
Well, anyway, we don't really follow those rules.
They made mistakes in the 19th century.
Yeah, of course they did.
And then we're in my dining room. This pair of doors were actually a glass pair of doors that folded between the living room and the dining room. And we took them and mirrored the old antique glass with the mercury to make a mirror and put them as swinging doors on the kitchen, and that goes back to a guest bedroom. But I love what they did to the room.
Well,
and
I feel like the way you did it feels so much more correct because you want the light kind of coming into the dining room. I wouldn't have. That would have felt like
it just
claustrophobic.
just blocked you.
Yes,
It blocked you.
I think you were right for sure. And this is beautiful. Is this Vladimir?
That is Claire Potter.
Oh, I love
That's a Claire
Potter.
Potter.
That's
I know.
beautiful. I love that. That's so charming. That's beautiful. Blue glass.
I'm crazy for blue glass.
It's beautiful.
I can never stop.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love the mix of things. It's just so wonderful.
Thank you.
And it's
Just
like
painted, took a paper shade and painted it blue.
Eve Klein blue.
Just
like
like
that kind of
egg tempera blue.
So pretty.
Like
Looks
it
great.
always
So
pops.
stylish. So, are you craftsy?
Am I craftsy? I mean, to a point. To a point. Like, if I want something and I can't find it, I will make it myself in 100%. But I have a limit to that skill. Like, I'm great with a hot glue gun and some French. You know, I'm good with a bejeweler. But, like, if you ask me to, you know, make a pressed peony, I might not be so strong.
Okay, but, like, did you paint these?
I
little
painted
shapes?
those, yeah.
I think that's
100% painted
Good for
those.
you.
You know?
Very chic.
This is my table for Ballard Design. Thank you very much.
Obviously, again, sort of a la that
A la
Janssen.
Janssen. Do you know what I mean?
I
It
have
is-
that Janssen folding table in storage for myself that I won't sell. I've sold it a couple of times to clients, but I'm waiting to use it, and I'm going to use it in the apartment across the
Do you
hall.
have the wood top? Or do you have
No,
the,
I have
yeah,
the lacquer
the
top
black
and the
top?
folding base.
I like.
I'm sure you bought that table.
Liz O'Brien had the wood top, the Babe Paley one that was wood, and like I was always obsessed with it. We did it with a black lacquer top, but it's a great dining table.
So chic,
you
and
know?
I love it with the Venetian chairs, divine, so pretty.
I can never resist a Rococo flourish. Do you know?
Oh, of course, it's just beautiful.
Got these at William Doyle.
So this was your sister's
This
living
was my
room.
sister's living room. That was her dining room. That was her kitchen. That was her son's bedroom, and she lived downstairs. And now it's kind of my living room and dining room. And
It's so wonderful.
Oh, wow.
Really, it's lovely and collected and layered and so stylish.
so no, she moved out with all her stuff, and
Right.
like she's a collector too, and has plenty of stuff. The brown satin walls
Were
what
here.
were made.
Right.
She had curtains. She had like sort of pale blue taffeta curtains, unlined with that sort of Rose Cummings ruffle that I love.
Oh, I
like
love that.
here,
Yeah, yeah.
which were beautiful.
Right, I love that.
I added the mirrored trim
Which
on
is
the
great.
on the ceiling,
Which is so good.
and added the mirrored trim in there, and it just like I took the curtains down, I added the sort of shears on the front. I liked the lightness. I knew that I was going to hang a bunch of art, and so I just left it as.
And
sort of
what about the Chinese panels?
The Chinese panels, you know, like I bought these when I was starting my line with Schumacher,
Right.
and they actually have these. It's the Brighton Pavilion, and they have these in panels.
But these are the originals.
And these are the originals,
Which are great.
And they go floor to ceiling.
No, I love them. They're wonderful.
and
I
that-
love the way you framed them in the bamboo.
And that mirror is from like, you know, I think when a hotel, like say the St. Regis was like redoing things, that clock, everyone's like, oh, when was the last time you saw a cartel clock hanging on a mirror? I was like, that clock is papier-mâché. It weighs like,
Are you serious?
yeah, it's totally fake.
Really? The clock is paper mache?
Pretty much.
Are
yeah.
you serious? It
Yeah.
looks totally like it's bronze.
Yeah, I know. Those French, they could do it well.
It's great looking. So good. So well done. And I noticed a couple of your fabrics around. Like this is you,
That's me.
right? That's you for
Yes,
Schumacher again.
exactly. Those are David's fabrics on the chair up there.
I'm
And I do love
using that.
that
I'm
paintbrush.
using that in the living room in green. I love it.
It always looks so great on everything.
It's so
like,
chic.
it really is. It looks great on walls. It looks great on a small piece of
So-
furniture.
I love it. I love it.
Um,
It's just
and-
wonderful. Is that Truman Capote over there?
that is Truman Capote.
Is that Horst?
It is Horst.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. I love that. That's so wonderful. So when you decorate, do you start with something?
Yes, I always say if you get the floors and walls right in
Right.
every spot, then the rest is easy. So like, you know, you walk into a striped entrance hall, then you go into an upholstered living room, then you go into a lacquer dining room, and then you get this feeling of different textures, but if you've thought it all out, floors and walls, it all relates to each other and flows.
I agree with you.
Do you
I
know?
totally get it, and I agree with you. And I think that's and it's the architecture too, don't you think? It's
Completely.
the flow and the architecture, and then what's on the surfaces and the floors, and then you decorate and have fun
Completely.
with it. and
but
start the process of collecting.
we do generally start with the floor. Like I'm like, okay, it's going to be a sisal room with rugs on top. Is
Right.
it going to be an old rug? Is it going to be a new rug? Because it always takes the longest.
this is- and this
then you
is-
can build it up. Now this is
Is
something.
this an antique rug?
No, but it's something I saw at William Doyle again.
I love it. I love it. It's so pretty.
And it was one of those things that I saw way after the fact. Like the rug did
But
not
it-
come first, but I was like, oh, that'll work. And then I came home with my measuring tape, and I was like, it fits. And like, it gives you a sense of coziness.
that's also like a layer that you can add. I mean, I've done that too, where you just add.
You see the
some-
rug and you think, that'll be great.
Right. It was meant to be. It was meant to be. And so, traveling. Do you travel and buy? Do you collect all over? How does?
You know what? Mostly for me, it's the auctions that
Well, now-
it's
Well,
the
now
auctions.
That's the best place to get things now, right?
But but when we were in London, of course I went to Christie's. They were having an amazing sale, and we ended up buying 10 things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so, I tend to like to look and shop when I go to places, but I mostly tend to buy at auctions. Honestly,
we do too. We buy
You
a lot
know?
at auction.
You know?
But you want to see it in person if you can.
100%.
That's the thing that I
100%.
sometimes.
And I do agree with you. Like
It's-
it's hard, like to see those pair of sales and be like, well, I think it's good, but like I've had some lamps show up that I'm like, not as great as I hoped.
Right. Well,
You
because
know?
I think sometimes in pictures they make things look better. So I sometimes find, and I don't know if you find this, sometimes the things I liked in the catalog, I don't like in person, and things I passed by, I like much better in person.
100%.
It's just, it's
That's
a
why
little
you have
tricky.
to go. You
really,
have to go
it's
and
tricky.
see it in person.
It's tricky.
And I'm always like, please send me more pictures.
Well, I
of
do that
thing.
too.
And
I wanna see-
stand
I-
beside it.
I wanna see real
Stand beside it
pictures.
and hold it in your hand.
I want to see real pictures.
Because they'll make it. I'm like, sit in that chair and like.
And it's also the way they light those
And
things.
light them
sometimes.
and cut things out, and then like you see it in real life, and you're like, huh, not so great.
Real pictures are the best way at auction, really. If you're buying at auction, you should reach out to the auction house and ask for real photos. So, Miles, I'm just obsessed with this. What is this?
It is Lantana. Isn't that such a southern name? I feel like this is my dog Lantana. But it's wonderful in the fall, and I had it on my terrace, and I brought it in for today.
It's just beautiful. So, is it an outdoor plant?
It is an outdoor plant.
I
and
love it
prefers
indoors.
the outdoor. But like, I mean, that's the pleasure of
Oh,
decorating.
yeah.
I love to take something and bring it inside for a second.
Totally.
And if you're at the
Totally.
grocery store and they don't have anything good,
Right.
go to the herb department. That was some mint that they had that I bought
Well, the
today.
the little divine silver cup.
And the
helps.
silver
It helps.
cup, yeah.
You know,
Brightens it up. Brightens it
if
up.
you put it in a mug, it wouldn't be as pretty. I love this little table with the
Those
frog.
this table and the little triangular porphyry tables are from the Lacquer Company and in my collection, which is kind of nice to have. But I love a small drinks table, just a place to plop a drink.
I love that too, and I love your things at the Lacquer Company,
Oh,
and I
thank
love
you.
all that porphyry, and I
Thank
think
you.
it's so chic,
Thank
really,
you.
really divine.
You know, it's funny. There was a lot at auction that had like 10 brass frogs. They were from the sale of Renee Myers. Do you remember Sweet Renee? Who was a friend of ours and went to the great beyond, but a wonderful lady who loved decorating, was Albert Hadley's best friend, worked for Patterson, Flynn, and Martin. And I just was like, oh, that's going to kind of remind me. I love Grenouille, that restaurant. We run into each other there from time to time. And there was something
Not
charming
anymore.
about it. I know. But you know what? You never know.
Yeah, I hope. So, Miles, like, how did you discover that you wanted to be a decorator? Did you know that did you always want to be a decorator? Was it something you pulled out pictures from AD as a kid?
I have always been decorating, but I didn't quite know I wanted to be a decorator until sort of the process of elimination a little bit. Always my rooms were immaculate. Always, even my posters were hung in a salon style.
Right.
I was always sort of pushing things around the house, and my mother, who also has a great eye, would always push them right back to where she wanted them. And she's like, it's my house. When you have one, you can do that.
Oh, really? That's
yeah.
cute.
I mean, yes and no, but I think I started at Parsons School of Design. I thought I wanted to be a fashion designer. Fashion was it moved too quickly. It was too intense.
I thought I was interested. I wanted to be a fashion designer before I wanted to be a decorator.
It was too intense. It was too fast. And then I thought, oh, well, I loved creating like atmosphere. So I thought, like, maybe I want to be and I loved the movies. So I was like, maybe I want to be a director. So I transferred to NYU and I graduated with a film degree. And I worked for a producer for a year. And I was reading Francine Lafrac, I'm sure you know her. She was a producer, and I was reading scripts for her, and it just, like, it wasn't creative. You know, it didn't feel like enough creativity. And all the while, I was always like decorating my apartment, doing something, always going to the flea market on 26th Street, always shopping. And I thought, maybe I should try this. And so I had a friend who was a decorator who did a lot of business with John Rosselli, and she's like, I hear they're looking for someone. And I was 21 years old, and I went, and it just felt like kismet working with them. Like Furlough Gatewood was from Americus, Georgia.
Was amazing.
But that southern sensibility, I was from Atlanta. Like, there was just all these immediate connections, and I just walked in, and like the world was just.
And that's how I met you when you worked at John Rosselli.
And that's how I met.
You were so sweet and charming and cute and nice.
Oh my God!
You were always so sweet.
The one thing that the takeaway is, do the thing that is so second nature and so easy to you.
Yes.
And sometimes
turn your hobby into a career.
And sometimes you don't even recognize how easy it is because you're just doing it all the time, and you just think like, well, sure, everybody can do this.
I'm sure you get that too, Miles, where friends say, will you talk to my kid? Will you help my kid? What my kid needs
completely
advice on what to do with their lives. And I always say the same thing. Like, what do you love that doesn't seem like work to you?
Right.
And that is the thing. Because, you know, I feel the same way. I can't imagine not decorating, and I just love it so much.
Right.
And even if you just decorate for yourself, you just have to continue decorating.
I know. It's
just the best.
It does bolster so much the quality of one's life. So then, while I was working for John, I met every single decorator, including yourself, under the sun, which was also an education in itself, because it allowed me, when I decided to like go work for decorating, you knew who was nice.
Right.
You knew who was a barracuda.
And you went to work for Bunny.
You know, and I went to work for Bunny, which was the second most wonderful thing ever. Both of them were both incredible and so generous and so kind, and showed me so much and taught me so much. Like, I'm indebted to that for the rest of my life.
And so how long did you work for Bunny before you went off on your own?
I worked for Bunny for 5 solid years.
Right.
And then I went off on my own.
And how long were you at John Rosselli?
I don't think I would.
How long were you at John Rosselli?
2.
Right.
Yeah.
You were in the big fabulous shop on 73rd Street. That shop was it was like an emporium.
I know.
It was like an antiques emporium. It was so amazing.
You know, when you're an ambitious person, you're just until you're doing it for yourself, it felt a little like work. But once you're doing it for yourself, it just felt like you're doing it for yourself. It just feels different.
It doesn't feel
and
like
I sort of say that distinction to everybody, and I understand when people move on, and I wish them well, and we try to be supportive, and it's like creative people, it is a kind of a march that you do by yourself, in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You get support and help along the way.
Yes.
But it is like, if you've got the vision, you got to get out there and get it out there.
100%.
You know?
Totally, totally.
Come on in.
So this is your favorite, right?
well,
this is where you said this is the room you kind of.
This is
where you live.
hang. This is where I hang for sure. And it's definitely like the coziest, particularly if it's like I'm hanging with one friend. We will like come in here. It's a great fireplace.
And your fireplaces are wood burning.
So this one is wood burning, and then the downstairs one is gas.
Okay.
It was one of those ones that smoked, and I turned it to a gas fireplace.
What do you
made
mean
all
it
the
smoked? You had like a fire one night?
No, it's just like, no, it's not that. Like, do you ever have a fireplace that smokes? You've never had that?
No.
The flue was all intact. They were all redone, but it's just the firebox is too big for the fires, and it just like so we changed it to a gas, and it all worked out. And it's kind of nice because sometimes you just don't feel like building a fire, like wanting to go to bed, and
No,
it's
that's
like turned
divine.
on. So
it's also nice because in a dining room, like we have a real fireplace in the dining room in the country, and that seat, it's a hot seat.
It's hot.
It's hot in that seat. You got to put girls in that seat because they're always cold. I do not want to sit in the hot seat. I don't like a hot seat.
I'm with you.
And this is you. I've used this. I love this fabric. This is your Schumacher fabric.
It is.
I
it
love
is.
this.
That's sort
It's
of
so
like
pretty.
Moroccan-y.
So almost like a modernized animal print.
I mean,
but
that
then
was
a little bit.
that was the idea.
I
That
just
was the
love it.
idea. It was supposed to be sort of taken from like. Have you ever seen Moroccan rugs that look like that?
Yes.
It's inspiration.
The black
then-
and white rugs, the kind of fuzzy ones.
But
Yes.
when it came out, it looked like sort of an updated animal print.
I
But
love it. I think it's great.
I love it too.
And is there? So I've done this too. Is there a fabric underneath that you still like? Or
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah,
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah.
And we switch it up all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah. I find I don't take my slip covers off.
You have to like.
Do
but
you
when
take your slip covers off?
I do, but I like change, and I like when summer's over.
You like change.
You know what? I like change and decorating. It makes me
you?
feel like I do.
I'm so funny. I get so upset when like something gets stained or ruined, and the fabric's discontinued. I have that like old French thing where I just like it. I want it. I want the same fabric back on it.
Do you buy the same? Like, do you buy extra yardage in case?
So a lot of my clients make me do
that, yeah.
And I always say, you know what? Probably by the time there's something wrong, you're like, gonna have to redo the whole room anyway. I mean, once in a while, but clients do make me do that. Like, oh, that wall fabric. We need an extra 20 yards. What if there's a problem? I'm like, okay, but I think, I know. But I love. So you do take the slip covers off.
I will. Yeah, absolutely. And I actually have like 3 different slip covers for this chair.
I love that.
And it's just
So
a
where do you
pair.
keep those?
There's a hanging closet downstairs. So it has, that has it.
I love that. A
Has
slip
it all.
cover closet. This is wonderful, the mirror and that whole moment. And is this is your parents?
Those are my parents.
Oh,
I know.
sweet.
It's Mama and Daddy.
It's so
I know.
cute.
That's Sarah and baby Miles.
Oh,
Do
that's
you see it?
adorable.
I know.
Yes.
That's back in the day.
That's here.
Yeah, right here, exactly, sitting on that
that's great.
sofa. For me, my favorite thing in the room is probably the drawing of the panther.
I love him. I love it. Is he Japanese? What is he?
No, it's honestly, do you want to know something?
Yeah.
It's my best friend from high school, Leslie Hearn,
Okay.
who is like the most amazing artist, and she did it and gave it to me,
He's
and I cherish it.
He looks like, I just bought a beautiful Japanese leopard.
Right.
And he looks like that kind of feeling. He's beautiful. Beautiful.
They just, it's so
I love the
striking.
oxblood.
A little bit of, little song de boeuf, right?
Love,
Little song de boeuf.
love. And the console's great.
And I do love this plume on this. Like, that's my own invention on that helmet.
I love that. I love that.
You know, it's funny. I have 2 busts, and they were from the Cynthia Phibbs sale. She had an amazing house in Long Island, and such beautiful things. It was a stair sale back in the day, and it was one of those things where we did try to sell them to clients, and no one wanted them.
Better.
And like I was like, well, then they're meant for me.
That's
and
right.
it's Zeus and Neptune, and Zeus is upstairs in the bathroom, and this is Neptune.
I love a bust.
you know?
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Just so great. And I was asking you about, like, so when you buy a new piece of art, what do you do?
Rearrange.
Rearrange the whole thing.
Not the whole thing. You just like you
Squeeze
can
it
usually
a little
move.
bit.
Like, so this painting used to be hanging there.
Okay.
I moved it, dipped behind the closet. I never had something dipping behind, but then I was like, oh, I like the way that dips behind the sofa. It like feels tucked in. Like things that were here were over there, and I'm just like, I'll just frisbee it around until I get it right.
And do you
know?
feel like
And
there's
sometimes I get it wrong, and I'll have to have David come back and rearrange it. I'm like, doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good.
David hangs art for you
Yeah,
too, isn't that
which is nice.
That's fabulous. But what I was going to ask you is, so what do you sort of feel like the continuity to the collection of art is? Is there always something that draws you in? I mean, there seems to be a good amount of military, right? There's architecture,
Architectural,
right?
There's
and
interiors,
the fashion, and there's interiors.
and portraits.
Right,
I
portrait.
do love and no one buys portraits.
Oh, I know.
The very first thing that I ever bought at auction, and I got it at William Doyle for $750.
Okay. Is the Spanish Alfonso?
Is the 19th century copy of the Velázquez of the Infanta Margarita. I will do that while I'm here. I see some things that got crooked.
Well, you know, dusting tends to make things a little crooked, right?
But you know what? It's really just things that I love.
Yeah,
you
I
know
know.
what I
It's
mean.
the same
Like
for me.
it's more like
I try to keep myself a little focused so that
I think it's good, and there's certainly artists that I follow and that I love, but at the same time, I just buy what I react to.
No, I understand.
You know?
I understand. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Growl, the Rene Growl, who I'm obsessed with.
I want one. I don't
you know?
have one.
They're hard to get.
That's a beauty.
And there's one upstairs in my bedroom that I
That's
love
just
too.
beautiful.
But that
Is
one,
it a watercolor?
It's a gouache.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah, I want one of those. I don't have one.
I have a Google alert.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
I should probably
but
do that.
they don't really come up that much at
You
sale.
did because he was
He was so prolific.
Right, but I guess
Do you
nobody
know-
wants to sell them.
I think also like Dior actually has the bulk of them,
Right.
And like they were who were commissioning him,
Right, because I was having this
and so,
conversation
like-
about the Bouchers, how
Right.
all the Rene Bouchers that Dior's buying all of them because they're all Dior clothes,
Right,
And
exactly.
Dior is warehousing
Yeah.
them and buying them and keeping
And I
them.
mean,
You know, good for them.
yeah, good for us.
Yes.
good for me. Do you want to go in the kitchen?
Sure, let's go to the kitchen.
That's an Eric. I do love that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's lovely.
That was from the Doris Duke sale. I have no idea what that is, but
but
I
I
still
love
loved
it. It's
right?
great. I love your counters in here. They're so great. What is this? Is it like a...
Do you know what? It's like, I loved it because it looked like scagliola.
Uh-huh. And I love that it's textured, too.
Right? But it is just one of those stones they cut on the bias. And it was funny. I used to have mirrored countertops, a stupid invention that I did myself. It looked beautiful, like all of this sparkling with glass, but every fingerprint in
my
the
God.
world you saw, and it drove me crazy.
Of course.
So after the pandemic, I'm like, I've got to change these counters, and I changed
love
them
the counter.
to this.
Love the counter.
I used to have a German silver sink, which I loved, but it looked filthy all the time. It did. And so I changed
Makes you
it to a good
nuts.
old stainless
Yeah,
steel
good
like
for you.
thing. And then I painted the floor in the black and white shower. I've always had a black lacquer kitchen. I
great
always
looking.
have.
Love
the
it.
floors changed many times, but I do spend a lot of time in here.
So
I'm a cook.
Kate did this too with a lamp on the kitchen counter, which I love.
I
that.
like at night when like
I love that.
like,
I've never noticed that in anybody's kitchen, and I love it.
always like a little lamplight in a kitchen. And I love like, do you see the two little ones that are like
Yeah.
like-
the little sort of crystal deco lamps under
Those
there.
were Rose Cummings.
They're great, really great. Love it. So stylish. And can we go outside to the garden?
Of course. Come on. Do watch your step.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a little
yeah.
step over, and then there's one little like. You'll see. So
this is
my little terrace.
Magical to have this in New York, right?
It is so nice.
Do you
to be
spend
able
a
to
lot
look
of time out here?
You know what? Like in the morning, I come out every morning. I sort of like when it's nice, I'll have my breakfast out here.
Lovely.
But the thing that I think that it gives me the most, it's my view. And before, my view was really not so great.
Right.
It's kind of an ugly back of a building.
Right.
And like to be able to like open your curtains and look out your window and see Versailles boxes and hornbeams is just
And divine
like,
trellising.
and trellis and mirror is really such a blessing and a gift.
Is this vintage?
Yeah.
Yes, right?
It is.
It's
It
antique,
is.
it's
Yeah,
vintage.
it is.
Yeah, I would say vintage furniture is so chic.
But I did copy these for Ballard, and they're still available.
Really?
Yeah. And like this is the fake one, this is the real one. So
I can't really
they
tell
did-
it much
they
of a
did
difference.
They did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it looks great. Looks great. And
So
I
if you
love
need
your
outdoor dining chairs.
divine. And I love your oversized Versailles tubs.
Oh my God! Well, these trees, like one day I'll have to chop them down and start over.
Why? I love them.
I mean, well, no, just the trees will die.
You think? Really?
I mean-
why? Because you're saying because the pots
They just get too big.
The
They get
pots
like
can't.
like they get too big for the pot.
The roots.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, like they're double in size of what they were.
What are they?
Hornbeam.
They are hornbeam.
Yeah.
I love them. I love them. Yeah, they're great.
They're so
these are-
stirred. They're so
These are
stirred.
pretty big pots.
Yeah,
huh?
they're doing
You
okay.
should
I mean,
be okay.
they've
How
been
long ago
happy.
did you plant these?
15 years ago.
I think you've got time.
I hope so. I hope so.
It's just
It's either
wonderful.
that or the boxes are gonna rot.
Oh, well, that, right. Well, that.
You know, it happens.
Well, that you could rebuild.
Yeah, exactly. But like, how?
That's true. How do you get them in?
How?
How do you get them in?
I feel like someone would just have to like redo the faces.
Well, you could do that, right?
Yeah.
Because the tins are there.
Exactly. Anyway, it's a project,
Isn't everything?
and that's a house. That's a house.
Alex, if you could pick one thing in this room, what would it be? I'm writing my will.
Jesus. Oh, don't say that to me. Mario said that to me once.
Sure, why
no,
not?
No, you know.
I
Oh
mean,
my
you-
God.
you
Did I ever tell you the Mario story?
No.
So I'm walking down the street one day, and I walked by Louis Bofferty when he had his store on Lexington Avenue. And Mario and I were great friends. And I see the Van Day Truex ice bucket.
Oh, yeah.
The C-Pod.
I know exactly what you're
Okay,
talking about.
I wanted this thing for so many years.
It's so you.
I called Louis. I said, I want that C-Pod. I have to have it. He's like, Mario has it on hold. I call Mario. I'm like, Mario, do you really need that? Can I have it, please? I really want it. He's like, no, but I'll leave it to you in my will. Of course, Mario does. He doesn't leave
no,
the goddamn
no will.
thing in his
No,
will.
no will.
No. But before that came up, I actually told him I didn't need it. Because do you know Ann Madoni Antiques in Southampton?
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
You know that store,
Yes,
of course.
of course.
I'm sure you shop
Yes,
there because it's
of
our
course.
kind of thing. It's got
Of
like,
course.
it's got divine. I walk in one day and they have the Van Day Truex ice bucket sitting there. And I said, oh my God. She's like, yeah, some old Southampton lady gave it to me on consignment. I'm like,
I'll take it.
so I called Mary and said, I don't need it anymore.
So good.
But I have it.
I do think the things in life that you get, you're meant to get.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean? They come to you.
Have we had that conversation?
I have it with everyone. I like it's the life of objects, how
Right.
they move through space and time,
And they come after
and like
you.
and they come after you, and like I was meant to have that bathroom upstairs. I really was. Like I'm like the only person that had the guts to like pack up 10,000 pieces of mirror and put it back together.
so
But like
gorgeous,
I
Mom.
know I was supposed to
But
have
Miles,
that
that's
bathroom.
insane. That bathroom is, I mean, I think it's one of the iconic, divine it could be my favorite bathroom I've ever seen. Really, it's certainly up there.
Stop.
Well, you know, you and I both love mirror, and I love
Stop.
anything mirrored, and I love
Magpies.
that. Yeah, I just love
Magpies.
that whole mirror thing.
Carrying some piece of tinfoil back to
Oh
my
my
crib.
God. But I mean, that's the best piece of tinfoil I've ever seen, honey. I wouldn't call that tinfoil. I mean, I can't wait to show them that bathroom. I'm
Wow.
obsessed with that bathroom. And it suits the house so well. I mean, you really...
Does
you,
it?
Yes.
I
Oh
mean,
my God, I think it totally looks like it lives here. For me,
I-
it looks like it always lived here.
I like how it's the last thing that you see, and it's the biggest room in the house. And it's kind of like...
Is it bigger than this room?
It is bigger than this room. It's kind of like someone once said, it's like being on the inside of a diamond. And I was like, best description
Oh,
ever.
I love
Right,
that.
best description
Nothing
ever.
wrong with that. I've
Yeah.
never even thought of being inside a diamond. Okay, so your question, what would I take in this room? I guess for me, it's between the console and that amazing Carmen flower that's...
Well chosen. Well played, my friend.
But I
well
think,
played, my friend.
I think your zebra doors are just crazy chic.
I mean, can I get up and
yes,
can I
think your
can I
zebra
close them for
doors
you?
are
Like-
Kook, LaFran, and Ollie.
'Cause
Really,
it
I think they
is-
are
It really is like, if you feel.
so good, Miles.
I do credit myself with having, like, the person who actually, as we say, we pass the baton. It was Ralph Lauren who really was doing so much interesting stuff with zebra. But like in the 90s, it would be little zebra stools or a zebra mirror
I
or a
saw
zebra,
that.
all that stuff. And I remember thinking like, why not zebra upholstered doors?
Okay, I saw all that thing too, and it never crossed my mind to do a pair of zebra
But
doors.
ideas, they come to you.
But I just think I just think those zebra doors are so good.
with pink satin walls.
Oh,
People were like, "You are crazy," and I'm like, "I see it, baby. Just relax."
Who thought you were crazy with the pink walls?
Just everyone. Like, I mean,
In your
I
office?
it wasn't even my office. It was just like people that I like trusted. They're like, you're gonna do pink satin walls and a red silk velvet sofa, and I was just like, they're like, it's gonna be a Valentine's Day box,
No.
and I'm like,
Honey, it's pure Saint Laurent.
Well, it's also
It's the way Saint Laurent mixed his colors. It's so
The stuff.
it's so French couture. It's so beautiful. The pink and red together, because really they clash, but that's the whole chicness about it.
I think so too.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I
And
love it.
The part that I like the best is that coromandel screen in the corner, that sort of cinnamon brown screen. Like
so
that's what
pretty.
brings it all down.
So pretty.
And
So
this
pretty.
color changes, like in the bright sunlight. This is kind of a cloudy
Mm-hmm.
day. It's very much like poppy pink, and it's very happy and bright. But at night, people can't tell what color it is. They're like, it
Because
gets
of the way
very
the
brown.
lights reflect.
It gets very brown, and they're like, "What color is this?" And I'm like, "It's Pepto-Bismol pink satin."
Wow. No, it's prettier than
It's a little
that.
bit browner, but the
No,
satin
it's
gives
prettier.
it
It's
this depth.
Pepto-Bismol's kind of
It gives it a depth.
garish. There's nothing garish about this color. It's really, really pretty. And
I think if
yummy.
you saw a fabric swatch, you'd be surprised.
We love all that. We love decorating, both of us, and we love layering, and we love fabrics and furniture and antiques and objects and
Bronzes and flowers and poppies.
all decorating, right?
I know.
And I love all your artwork, the way you've really,
I mean, like maximized.
You
Like
know,
I know, I'm crazy.
I have so much of it all over I just have
Yeah.
it leaning on the walls and leaning on the floor, and I have it stacked up, but you know,
I do, but then it'll start to drive me crazy because I'm like knocking it all the time,
Yeah.
and then I'm just like, I'm gonna just hang it floor to ceiling. But I'm like, every time I see something, I'm like that charcoal drawing of a soldier is
Love.
fairly new, but like I was just like, that is the most beautiful thing.
It's
and I'm
so
like,
beautiful.
How am I gonna rearrange everything? And I'm just
oh my
like,
God, don't tell me you take things off the wall and then
oh,
rearrange.
I'm pushing it around all the time. Yeah.
Kidding me?
You know
You
what?
do it yourself, or you have an art hanger?
Well, please, David Kai is the
Alright.
best art hanger in the world.
he
Don't you
really-
remember? Oh my God, he's like a genius. A genius.
angel.
My business partner, an angel, but also a brilliant. That's how I met him. My business partner, David Kai, was an art installer and an artist before I met him, and just can hang art like nobody's.
I just
business.
texted her and said we got to do a recap of our trip. I miss them. They're so cute.
I mean, and like we need also a reunion,
Yes.
right? A New York City reunion.
so we really, really bonded on our trip to England, right? I mean, we always liked each other. And we always knew each other.
But
that was
cemented it.
sort
That
of
cemented
really
it.
took it to
Yeah.
a different. You know, also because your sister was there and we were all
Scott,
together.
too.
Right,
I
and we
mean,
all
like-
went on this, basically we became like a little family in our own little world on this. We went on this San Francisco
the
antique
Canterbury
show.
Tales. Canterbury Tales
Oh my
of
God,
England.
that's so funny.
Right?
We went on an English country house trip with the San Francisco Antique Show.
Mm-hmm.
And
Get on the coach, aka
Yeah.
giant bus.
right.
You know?
It basically was like, if it's Tuesday, it must be Belgium. Remember that movie where they're on?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
but we had so much fun, and it was
And
so.
saw so many beautiful things and made so many wonderful friends.
Yeah.
I really loved each and every person on that trip and like hold them all dear to
It
my
was
heart.
nice. It was
you
really
know?
special.
Yeah.
You know, those trips are sometimes.
Hit or miss.
Yeah, and it was just fun. It was
Right.
really, really lovely. We had the best time.
My nephew did this.
I
my
love
my
him.
favorite thing in the absolute. And if you'll look, he won first prize, #1 fancy dress. I was like,
Is that an OTU?
You get me. Yes, totally. You get me. And like the red, white, black, and pale
Oh,
blue.
that's so-
I'm like, oh my God, you see me.
He's so cute, and he looks like you.
I mean, God, I hope so.
He's so adorable.
I love that. It's one of my favorite
How old
things.
was he?
Probably 8 years old.
So cute.
I know. And I feel like it could be a Basquiat.
It could be.
My prize-winning kumquat. First prize in the Philadelphia Plant Show.
He's beautiful. He's just divine.
Thank you, Ken Saloti. And then where the magic happens.
So divine. The bed's antique?
No, I made the bed. John Rosselli made the bed for me. It's based on one that Bunny has, which was the first Mrs. Paley's bed that she bought at auction.
It's great
that
looking.
I think,
Yeah.
I want to say Serge Roche made for her.
Yeah, that would make sense,
Right.
right? Divine, divine, really, really wonderful.
And this was a little bit of kismet, which you can't really tell, but I did the valances, and the way the valances and the bed played off of each other.
Well, they're opposites, right?
Exactly, but I never knew that was going to happen until it did. That's just luck. That was luck. I was like, I wanted little shaped valances. They were sort of based on DuPont or Francis Elkins. Like, there's so many people that made little valances like that.
Isn't that so interesting?
But I love the way that they played off, and so perfectly, because if it had been off center, I would have maybe been driven crazy.
But sweetheart, I'm sure you did that deliberately. You just didn't even realize you were doing it.
No. I think
No.
that was called decorating luck.
Nah,
That's decorating karma.
I don't believe that. Not
That's
with you. I
decorating
don't think that
karma.
was. I think that was. You knew what you were doing. You just weren't really paying attention to it.
No. That was luck. 100%. And
I love the way. I
like
love the way you sort of faux painted the windows.
the faux horn. I
Yeah.
know, just like because I wanted that.
I love it. It's great. And the bedside tables are so interesting.
Nancy Lorenz made
They're
those
wonderful.
for me.
They look Moorish.
Moorish and covered in Capizio shells, right?
Beautiful. Love
And
them.
super sturdy. Like, I mean,
Really good looking.
It's so nice, right? It is so nice just to be able to look out. Like, that's why. Well, I did it because I wanted a screen from the next door neighbors.
Well, also look at how ugly the air
Right, like
conditioning thing is.
I wanted a screen from all of that. But it's the thing the garden gives me most of all is just being able to look out and see. That's also Carmen.
It's beautiful.
What do you want a bedroom to feel like? What's important to you when decorating a bedroom?
Sexy, baby.
Yeah.
Sexy all night long.
You're sexy and luxurious and
Yeah,
glamorous.
and cosseted and comfortable, and you have to see my Hollywood satin door. I'm gonna just.
Well, for me, there's nothing more glamorous than satin. I love satin too.
And
I
listen
use
to
satin all. I look.
And that clicking sound.
Oh my God, it's
And
heaven.
like I was obsessed with making a lever and branch coral.
I love it. Is it? Did Karen do it?
You know, E.R. Butler did it for me.
It's
But
real coral.
It's real coral. And what cracks me up is I once posted it on Instagram, and everyone was like, "Looks like a dog penis." I cracked up. I couldn't stop laughing.
I mean, now that you
I
say
know,
it.
I cracked up. I couldn't stop
Now
laughing.
that you say it,
I
but
couldn't
kinda-
stop laughing.
but it's
I was like,
gorgeous.
"You bitches."
I know you go ruin it for me.
You bitches. But that feeling makes it feel so Hollywood.
I love
and
it.
just that shutting of a padded door will really give you that sense of
Who
like,
did the architecture work with you, Miles? Here,
like basically me.
you did it yourself.
Pretty much. Yeah. Me and a contractor.
Yeah. Well, you did a
know?
great job.
Thank you.
I'd hire you as an architect, and as a decorator anytime.
Well, thank you. Right back at you.
Thanks, honey.
Right back at you.
Thanks,
right back
Angel.
at
I
you.
love your airplane up there. I love you. Is that something like That's like I love it because it's like maybe almost something like from a very sort of sophisticated little boy's room.
I mean, I have a plane fetish. Like
I love that steel thing. What is that?
Oh, I would have to get behind it, but it's actually
An artist?
a contemporary artist.
I love it.
But if you'll notice the photograph of the plane next to it, those were like 1940s World War II photographs of fighter jets, and like I bought those at a flea market, the 26th Street Flea Market. Curling paper.
Does that still exist?
Not really.
Yeah, no, it's gone,
like
right?
many moons
Yeah,
ago.
it's
Framed
gone.
them and loved them so much, and
But I love that it's the model of the airplane. It's wonderful.
thank you.
You know, because there's always a little whimsy and unexpectedness, and I love that.
Just what you love. Just the things you love.
Yeah, well, that's what it should be.
The things you love.
Well, the things you love all seem to work together in such a stylish and wonderful way. And this is just a tour de force. I mean, this is insane. I love this room so much. It's so good, Miles.
I mean, I wish I could take credit, but all must go to David
Honey,
Adler.
I give you credit
No.
for finding it and buying it and installing it and maintaining it. I mean, this could be gone. This could be junk.
It could be.
And I think that's so important that somebody, and I'm sure it was work to get this in here, right?
Boy, howdy.
So tell us the story. How did this happen?
So, It was in a salvage warehouse in Chicago for
Right.
sale, and a friend of
In a
mine.
salvage warehouse.
A salvage warehouse.
Okay.
It was from a David Adler house that had belonged
Yes.
to the pop star Richard Marx. Do you remember him? He was I don't really either, but he was a pop star. And
So what year was that? In the 50s?
So no, 1931 is when the bathroom was made.
Okay,
and
30s, right.
31 was the bathroom.
Because a pop star makes
But the
me
pop,
think...
but the pop star bought the house and ripped it out, and the contractor. So the pop star was an 80s
I was
80s
thinking-
pop star.
I didn't think...
No.
I was kind of surprised that David Adler decorated for a pop
No,
star.
this was done for the
Okay.
Armors. This was originally done for the Armors.
Okay, that makes sense. Right.
for
But the
le-
pop
the-
star had bought the house, and then he was... No.
It's from the Leicester Armor House.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the story goes, I saw it and put it on hold and was like thinking about it. And I called back and they're like, oh, someone bought it. And I'm like, but I had it on hold. And they're like, oh, your hold expired. And I was like, all right, well, I was really devastated. But I was like, if it falls through,
Not meant to be.
let me know. And like, sure enough,
It fell through.
a month later, they called me back and they're like, they didn't get it. And I was like, I'll take it. And I bought it. And then it became the process of like, I had to get the plans from David Adler, from the Art Institute of Chicago on microfiche. I had to find the guy who had taken it down. He had to come to New York to like reinstall. All the pieces were numbered. Some of it was broken. Some of it had to be repaired. Anyway, it was a 2-year experience, but every day, worth it. It is such a wonderful place to wake up, and I really do take a bath every morning.
So you're...
Every morning. I'm a
you're not
bath.
a shower
I have a
person.
shower. I like a shower at night and a bath in the morning. But it's the best way in the world to wake up and come to this world.
Scott takes a bath too.
You know?
My partner Scott takes a bath. He loves a bath. I like a shower, but I mean this room. I mean, what a divine place to take a bath. Did you have to change the proportional?
No, it is exactly the same
Okay.
size. And curiously enough, Leola Armour, who was the daughter of the mother who this was built for, she's gone to the great beyond, but she lived in New York and was a friend of a friend, and they were like, your mother's bathroom is in a townhouse in Chinatown. You might want to go see it. So she came down. That could not have been nicer.
Oh, is that
And
divine?
she walked in and she's like, this is the eeriest feeling. You know what I mean? Because it's almost
now
like
it's
It's
transplanted.
Brideshead Revisited. You know what I mean?
Right.
She's like, oh, I've been here before. And she told
But in a new place.
But in a new place. She's like, the one thing that I remember about this bathroom is she's like, my mother used to have her hair done every day and sit under one of those colossal hair dryers. She's like, her hair caught on fire. And she's like, it was the towering inferno of hair in this mirrored room. And they're like frantically putting it out with towels. They rush her to the Lake Forest sort of infirmary.
Oh my God.
And they put Vaseline all over her face, wrapped her in bandages for a month, and then went back. And they were like, when they took the bandages off, la 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 la, like Rosemary's Baby almost, you know?
my God.
They said it was the most perfect new skin underneath, and she looked miraculous.
Oh my God! So it was like
Basically, she had a good chemical peel.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. She had an incredible chemical peel. Exactly. Oh my God! that's
1930s
amazing.
style.
Can we just close the door and
Of
see
course.
that whole mirror
Of
wall?
course, of
I
course.
just think, it's so good, Miles. Wow, it's heaven on earth. It's just so well done. And again, you knew how to make it all work, and the way you decorated around it, it's just so good, Miles.
Well, Alex,
Really,
thank
it's
you.
so. Oh, and that's good. The little way you sort of tricked because the window size was different, right?
The window size was different, and so but weirdly
did it
proportional. But weirdly
Yeah,
proportional,
and it doesn't read.
And
I mean, it
so
really-
like right, so we mirrored around. I just mirrored what.
Oh, another
what
Car-
couldn't, and a little Carmen
Another
Alman,
beautiful Carmen, right?
a Narcissus,
So
fitting.
wonderful.
and then Zeus himself.
Oh, there he is.
That's Zeus. And then this is a shower, that's a water closet, and the rest are my closets.
Yeah, it's great.
Um,
Well, because it's really like a room.
It is, and like I have dinner parties in here.
It's so cute.
When I'm feeling like particularly festive, I have a little folding table that I set up, and I put a white tablecloth on top, and it really is like such a special thing to do.
It's heaven. Yeah,
know?
it's great. It's so charming, and it's historic, which I love too.
I do. It gives a sense of history, and a really good friend of mine who walked in was like, "It's like being on the inside of a diamond," and I thought that was the most apt description I've ever heard.
Well, it's divine. I mean, how good is that? The inside of a diamond. Who doesn't want to get inside a diamond?
Right.
Well, I'm so happy
You are a diamond.
No, I'm so happy you have this. I love it. I think it's so chic. Really wonderful. So much style. You know, the stupid cliche, home is where the heart is.
Sure.
What does home mean to you, Miles?
God, where I can relax and exhale and be myself and be comfortable.
Right. Well, I think this is such a reflection of who you are, this house, which I think is divine. And I think that's like, I love that. I think that's what houses should be. They should be you know, I'm sure
right back
I'm
at
sure
ya.
you try to do that
Alex
with your clients
Papachristidis.
and encourage them to, what do you love to collect? What do you love to, you know, what are the
100%.
things that interest you?
100%.
I mean, we're always trying to make houses
that
for
are
other-
reflective of the person that
and
lives
encourage
there.
I mean, of course, helping them to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's what they need.
Well,
but-
you show them the beauty of the world. You have
Right.
access to it. You know the artist that you love. I'm like, oh, I would love it if your house had a Carmen. I would
Right,
love it if
right.
your house had a Vladimir.
Right.
I would love it if your
Totally,
house
totally,
had a
totally.
Tim Kent. I
Right,
would
right,
like.
right.
We have our artists like Carlos Otero. All these people that I respect and love so much. To be able to place them in homes,
Right.
it gives everybody so much joy. It's
Right.
always a win-win. you
Right.
know?
Well, look, I mean, a house should be full of joy and happiness. And again, I feel like this house is very joyous. You know, it feels exuberant and happy and charming like you, my angel.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.